It was me, Barry. What's poppin', Podvengers? Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Cinestro Core. It's your boy Blacksby, aka Negro Bard Thon, and today I have with me the number one Barry Allen Stan account, Ass Point Paradox, and Power May Drop BRB, aka David Johnson, back again for another episode of the Sinestro Core. We are all revved up and ready to discuss the electric summer blockbuster, The Flash from DC, plus our reaction to the first episode of Marvel's Secret Invasion, now streaming on Disney Plus. But before we do all that, I need y'all to General Zod smash the MS subscribe button so you do not miss out on the podcast that's more than meets the eye. Yes, I borrowed that from last week. Now, run, Barry, run. Had to, create that chronosphere and run back in time.
Chronosphere.
Hey,
Is that what they end up calling it?
Not to divert back to our Man of Steel talk, but we talked about how Michael Shannon was the greatest part of that entire movie. His performance
He was
alone.
in a completely different movie than everybody else.
Yeah.
Yes,
He wasn't
everyone
there.
was just
He wasn't. He literally did not show up. That's what you mean. As in, he wasn't in the movie. He didn't show up to film his scenes. He filmed them from his home.
No. In Man of Steel. In Man of
Oh,
Steel,
in
not
Man
the-
of
not
Steel.
this
Man of
movie.
Steel.
We were saying
Yeah.
in Man of Steel, he was acting.
Yeah, he
in
was.
that movie.
Bro,
He had a
bro
really
carried that film.
Mhm.
Look. Me and Matt talked about this like off camera, on a text. We said that Michael Shannon, you know, those comments he made about superhero movies kind of being soulless, and he doesn't really consider it acting. We were like, I get it, but you also did Bullet Train, bro. Like,
Yeah.
like,
Why did you why you do Bullshit Train, bro? Why are you in that? Explain to me
I
right
get
now.
what he's saying, but it's like, come on, bro. You be doing shit for money too, Michael. Relax.
Anytime you see an actor do that, it's one, it's to get on the good side of however many people they want to, and two,
Martin
it's
Scorsese.
low hanging fruit to
That's
try
exactly
and
what
attack
it is.
a superhero movie.
Exactly,
in
because that's what's
reality,
popular.
in 5 or 6 years, when you star in one and you get that $12 million check that you haven't gotten from a movie in like 6 years, then you're going to be like, oh, I see why people do it. So you know what I'm saying? I kind of just like,
Artistic
old man
integrity,
yells at cloud again.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Artistic
Old man
integrity
does it.
always has a price tag, bro. It is what it is.
Yeah,
Bro was in the Iceman. Bro was in whatchamacallit, Elvis and Nixon. Like, I'm gonna name
That's
all his
something.
movies. He was in all types of stuff.
No need to attack him. I love Michael Shannon. He's fantastic.
I love his performances. He's a good
Me
actor.
too. He's a great
Yeah.
actor. I just thought it was a goofy comment to make when you were in Bullshit Train. You know, it's like, come on,
The
bro.
the most convoluted. Well, I'll leave that. I'll let that movie be what it is.
Yeah, that train.
I'll let that
has
train
left
leave the station. Yeah,
The train has left the station.
I'll let it go. Let it roll off the tracks. But you know what train isn't rolling off the tracks? What train is running as fast as it can? The Flash. This movie right here.
Let's
There's a
go.
lot of pros and cons to this. So this is what we're gonna do. We're just gonna start out strong. We're gonna go ahead and do our ratings right now, and then we're gonna go into why, because I have very many a thing to talk about. But we'll go ahead and start with our ratings. So, AZ, you said you watched it twice, man. What you got? What's
Just
your
rating.
Okay.
Don't go on a fucking
Just
tangent. 'Cause
rating,
I
yeah.
already know
Just
you're
rating.
about to let every ounce of your
I'm
being take
I'm
over.
gonna just
And
keep this. I'm gonna just keep this brief because I've had like 3 days to think about it. I saw it the first time while drunk, and I didn't like it, which was weird because I usually like anything while drunk, even people. So I was like, all right, let me go ahead and rewatch it while sober because it can't be that bad. And then I rewatched it, and I was like, wow, I was right, even more so. So I'm gonna give this my first low rating of the entire podcast, bro. This shit is a 4 to 5, bro.
that's crazy.
It's a 4 to a 5 for me. Like, it is.
That's
I'll
crazy.
get into more detail, but that's what I got to give it, man.
Okay. Luis?
It's a 7. It's like, it's fine. Like, it's all right. Like, it's not terrible. It's not the worst fucking movie I have ever seen in my entire life. It's not even the worst DC movie DC has made.
That's true.
It's not.
That's
It's
true.
not. And the way people were talking about it, they act like it's the worst fucking thing they've ever seen because of one aspect of the film, and that is literally the only reason why. I promise you, it is not that terrible. It is not that bad. It's all right. It's a comic book movie with dog shit CGI.
Fair.
To 7.
Fair.
David, what you got?
Let me go last.
You wanna go
Because
last?
I'm gonna lead in.
Okay, you about to cook. So
No. I'm gonna lead
talking
into
of
the
a spear bomb
discussion.
Oh, he wants to lead into the
part.
discussion.
Yeah,
I got you.
So you go.
So
Okay.
my rating right now is oh, look at that. It's tentatively a 5.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm gonna rewatch it. My rating may change after that second watch because
You're
the
filming
first time.
now.
Oh no, I'm gonna watch it again. I'm gonna watch it again after this episode, anyways. I gotta change my. Gotta get a second wind, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll watch it
Well,
again.
do it.
We'll see where my rating changes from there. But for now, it's gonna be stuck at a 5. Initially, it was at a 4, but then I thought about it some more, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm just being a little bit too harsh about certain aspects, specifically one aspect, Ezra Miller. But I kind of try to separate that, and my rating changed from a 4 to a 5. So, David, what you got, man?
Oh, man.
I was gonna say the same thing. Is that for when something like this happens to a movie, or before the movie like debuts, you have to set apart and split any personal feeling you may have about specific actors, and then look at the entirety of the craft in the movie as a whole. So I'm probably at 6.5 for the movie. I think that's where I land.
Yep.
Now,
Okay.
I say that because I also look at what led up to this moment. And I did like a little bullet point thing. So I'm gonna read it super quick, and then we're gonna get right into the
Go
discussion.
for it. Go
But
for
Yes,
basically,
sir.
I compared it to, like, if you're watching an NBA game, you're watching two teams play. One team is obviously better than the other team, and they're winning by 20 points. That team comes back, and they're down by 1 with 5 seconds left, and they try to shoot the game-winning shot, and they airball it. It's easy to be like, all right, well, you suck, person who just shot that ball.
Yeah.
How could you
suck.
airball it? But it's like, you were down 20 in the first quarter. Y'all don't even
Yeah.
show up to play.
Uh-huh.
It took 2 or 3 people 3 minutes ago to literally almost die on the court
Having
for you
the
to get in
games
this
of their
situation.
lives. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
And so that's why I compared it to this movie. So I did literally real quick. Warner Brothers hired Berlanti and the writer of Green Lantern to write a treatment for this movie in 2011.
Mhm.
Grant Gustin was
Greg
cast as the
Berlanti?
Flash. Yes, that
From
Berlanti
CW
version.
That
Berlanti?
Yeah.
That
Wow.
Berlanti.
I'm not even done.
This was
Grant Gustin was cast as the Flash in 2014. He was cast in the first episode of the Flash is in 2014. This is when everyone was like, oh, when they do the movie, they'll put Grant Gustin in.
Yep.
Ezra Miller was casted in 2016 and then appeared in cameos in Batman vs. Superman and Suicide Squad, right? Then all the Zack Snyder
They
stuff
were in
happened.
Suicide Squad. Holy shit, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus Suicide Squad. We'll get to
Yeah.
that later.
Yeah.
All the Zack Snyder stuff happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't forget
Which
the
is kinda like-
crisis. The crisis from CW too.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
later
because
on.
of a cameo
But
in
like
there.
Zack Snyder stuff, his daughter passed away, all that horrible stuff happened.
Yeah.
Then you have the Snyder fans, all of that nonsense, right? DC offered James Wan the Flash movie or Aquaman, and he
From
picked
Fast and
Aquaman.
Furious.
Yeah,
James
Yeah,
he
Wan
directed
picked
Aquaman. He
Yeah.
picked Aquaman.
He picked Aquaman, made $1 billion
Jesus.
for that movie, so he's like,
Good choice.
I'm good.
Yeah.
So then WB was like, all right, who do we pick next? They talked to Phil Lord and Chris Miller. They were like, we
were so
kind of want to
close.
do, what was it? They were like, they did
Solo and
Lego
Spider-Man.
Batman movie and then Solo. So they did Lego Batman movie and Solo instead of doing The Flash. Then
Bro.
Warner Brothers approached 6 different directors that all turned it down. Sam Raimi, Mark Webb, Jordan Peele, Robert Zemeckis, Matthew
Bro.
Vaughn, Ben Affleck, all said no. Then they were
That
like,
is
okay,
insane.
we're going to do the Flashpoint story. Sure. At 2014,
They're like, okay, what is
yeah.
the fuck does that mean?
the Arrowverse at this point, the Arrowverse has been around for 7 years.
Yeah.
And Grant Gustin's already been the Flash for 7 years already. 2 more directors passed on it. And then Ezra Miller and Grant Morrison like rewrote the script in like
Good Lord.
4 or 5 weeks before the Muschiettis like joined the
Appointment.
project.
Mhm.
Ezra had to push the movie back several times because WB thought Fantastic Beasts was going to be huge, and it was the opposite. It still had to be in those movies.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
COVID happened.
Fantastic bombs.
Yeah.
Ezra Miller then goes, I wrote on here, he goes on a
They do
crime
their
bingo
thing.
spree.
Yeah.
And he
they were
gets
just
disorderly conduct, strangling, harassment, cult leader-like relationship with a young Native American woman, second-degree assault, burglary, and alleged kidnapping.
alleged. Alleged kidnapping.
I'll be nice on that one. Alleged kidnapping.
Reverse
Then
flash
Warner
activities.
Brothers and Discovery merged, which means jobs were lost, movie and TV projects were canceled. Batgirl.
And it all became about bottom line.
Yes, and then James Gunn was then appointed the new head of DC, and he details the beginning of the new stuff coming post 2023, which then lowers any hype, if you have any, for the movies this year. Because what's the point if it's wrapping up, especially with the characters we've already seen, Shazam,
The Flash,
Aquaman 2. We
Blue
don't
Beetle.
care. Well, I leave off Blue Beetle because that's a new character.
Yeah.
And I think Blue Beetle will be fine.
Blue Beetle will do
but
just
all
fine.
of the DCEU characters, we've seen these characters already. We don't know if they're gonna we don't know any of the information. No Way Home and Across the Spider-Verse already did the multiverse thematic elements, and they both knock it out of the park. They both make a ton of money. Across the Spider-Verse did it 3 weeks before this movie comes out, right?
And it did it really well.
And then the Flash movie comes out, right? So you have all these, this entire timeline history of just tripping and falling on
and the fact that they managed to make a movie at the end of all of that is
tripping and falling on the rake that hits you in the face over and over and over and over again. And so the fact that this
David
movie
covered
is out
everything. Yeah.
is a miracle.
We're good.
That's why I said. That's why for me, it's less of a defense and more like you got to realize, what it took personally, to get here. If any movie that gets made and released is pretty much a miracle in and of itself because there's just so many things behind the scenes. But you take a massive project like this and the 7 or 8 delays and the 12 directors they went through, and it was just like this movie still got made somehow, still released somehow. I'm surprised they didn't just switch to animation because they didn't have money for the VFX halfway through the movie. I'm surprised
they should have.
They're still okay with that.
They should have.
So then this
That would
movie
have been
comes
great.
out. So personally, to me, that's this is all in my head when I'm watching the movie, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Well, yeah, it kind of does. This doesn't make it kind of does. Why would you pick Michael Keaton? That Batman's 30-something years old. Nobody in this generation knows. Why did you not pick Christian Bale? It was already decided beforehand. Why would you make the other Flash Ezra Miller instead of Grant Gustin? We just got done with him. He's been the Flash for 9 years. That's the only thing this generation knows is Christian Bale and
Grant Gustin.
And Grant. So you going, you know what? Let's go back 20 years to Michael Keaton's Batman.
I like that. I liked the fact that they picked Michael Keaton's Batman, though. And this is coming from a person who's a notorious Michael Keaton Batman hater. I don't like him as Bruce Wayne. I don't like him as Batman.
Really?
He's too goddamn bald to be a Bruce, in my opinion. I know a Bruce with a solid hairline.
Bro said, and I quote, Majin Batman, and I fell out of my chair. We were in the chat. We were in the chat.
That's actually really funny.
Pre-planning this episode, and bro said, Majin Batman. I died.
And I get what you're saying, David. Why not go with the most relevant actors,
especially for
that
the
have portrayed
younger
the characters in
generation? For this generation,
But I think for the movie that they were making, I think Michael Keaton works a lot better than Christian Bale. You think Christian Bale would have worked on screen with Ezra Miller?
No.
Absolutely not.
They need the father figure Batman style, and that's what I'm like. Story-wise, that has already been decided early on that they were going hey, let's do Flashpoint.
Christian's Batman also and Bruce Wayne aren't funny. There's nothing funny about that universe. There's nothing funny about those movies.
It's too serious.
Charm to them. It's not
right. Whereas Michael Keaton still has a little. Yeah, Michael Keaton still has a little bit of
because because his was made with that 80s camp style.
Tim Burton, baby.
Tim Burton.
Yeah. And Joel Schumacher, all the bright, cololeful,
motherfucking goat.
Don't get him started. Do not get him started.
Listen,
get out of
here. I'm not even going front. I am on that side of as I've gotten older, I've understood what Joel Schumacher was intending to do. The problem is coming fresh off of Keaton's darker Batman, switching to neon and everything. Everyone was like, "Yeah,
it's a real tonal whiplash."
But I don't get
exactly.
I don't get that. I think that's a stupid excuse because we literally came from Adam West's Batman, which was goofy as all fuck, and then you have Michael Keaton, okay, and then you have Val Kilmer, right?
It's the same universe,
right?
And then all the same universe,
and then you have Joel Schumacher. It's too goofy, bro. Really? Why can't Batman be this spectrum of things? Why can't he be a plethora of things? Why does he only have to be this one tone?
You gotta ask the people that only want Ben Affleck's warehouse Batman.
Exactly. That's what we were talking about earlier.
The Frank Miller only, the Frank Miller Bible Batman people.
It's because people who've only seen the what's it called, the Dark Knight Returns. They read the comic and then they watched the animated film and like, this is my Batman. I need that. Yeah. Bro, go pick up Grant Morrison's Omnibus right now and read that.
But look, I get it. Batman works. I mean, that tone works for that character. I understand. You can't. That's why it's why this is. We're not talking about the Flash at this point, but it's like it's why Zack Snyder's DC EU didn't work because that tone does not work for every character in the DC universe. It's why James Gunn's Suicide Squad, in my opinion, is so good because he's able to balance he's able to put levity and fun and goofiness and jokes and balance it with kind of darker themes, not necessarily a darker looking movie or darker.
Zack Snyder was a control C to every character in his little realm.
When they
control
started
V, and it doesn't work like that.
And that's
when
actually
they
one of the
started
reasons.
with Man of Steel. Actually, David, remember in 2013? I think that was we had just come back from like beach retreat or something.
I think so.
We all went and saw Man of Steel in the theater, and we thought it was the greatest thing on earth. That's only because we had been deprived of a Superman film since like 2006.
Since Superman Returns.
So looking back at it now, hey, Returns. Let my boy Brandon Routh have his shine. Point for later, but save that. Remember that for later. Man of Steel started, and like I think just the fact that we had been deprived of something for so long, and then the idea was that it was going to combine with the Nolan verse, and we're going to see Superman and Batman finally interact. Then obviously that was scrapped. That didn't happen. Yeah. Then we got Man of Steel led to somehow we got to Batman versus Superman.
This is also Snyder fresh off of 300 too. So we're like we're thinking,
so we're like,
oh my gosh, it's gonna be
and he made Watchmen.
Exactly that too.
So you're like,
he was on,
which I like.
Yeah, I like his Watchmen.
And then at the end of the day, after everything we've seen thus far since it's been 10 years, Man of Steel really wasn't that bad in comparison to everything else. In comparison to everything else. I'd rather watch Man of Steel than BVS. I'd rather watch Man of Steel than literally every other movie, save for Wonder Woman.
I'd rather bite a fucking bullet than watch BVS. That's not. I mean, that's not. The bar is very low,
I'd fight Doomsday with my hands behind my back.
For me, Man of Steel is like the deciding line because I'll put Wonder Woman above it. I put BVS under. You know what I'm saying? That's like the standard.
The bar. It's the par.
Yeah.
And then Suicide Squad doesn't make it on the bar.
But that's the thing. I think Wonder Woman and Suicide Squad raised the bar.
Squad, yes. Suicide Squad David Ayer is like in the trash
here.
Down here.
To what you said, I think the problem is that it raised it, and then the movie or so after it lowered it back down. It just kept doing this.
But I think,
but again, Flash movie.
That's what I like about the Flash movie is that how much of a different tone it was compared to anything else that came out of the Zack Snyder universe, apart from James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, because I wasn't a big fan of like how dark and brooding and gray and ugly and gross and wet Zack Snyder's universe was. I think it was gloomy and wet, and it was always raining.
He's not wrong.
And I think that works for Batman, but I don't think that works for Superman. It doesn't work for when Wonder Woman's there, when Aquaman's there, when Cyborg and the Flash are all there. It just doesn't.
I don't know if I sent
y'all that tweet. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
What you just said, I don't know if I sent y'all that tweet to the chat. Somebody literally said word for word. You said, "Why is Superman so soulless and colorless? It's just all gray. His blue, his colors are muted. Superman's supposed to be a really like joyful, hopeful, bright, shining, all American boy, and then you have the dark Batman to contrast that. Instead, they're both in this like grayscale sepia.
This
Like I didn't
abyss
like
of
that.
edge for some reason.
Yeah,
What? Yeah, and
turn around and die. Like
to tack on to what Luis said about like the tone of this movie, that is one of the few, I'd say max 1.5 to 3 positives that I have for this film.
1.5.
Totally, it felt pretty consistent. A lot of the other DC films are either like on one of two spectrums. They are either like a cesspool of edge and just being very dark and gritty, or they tried to go
edge pool
full early Marvel dialogue, copy and paste, Chat GPT ass MCU film that just makes no sense at all, and it's just joke after joke beating you over the head with
Fury
humor.
of the Gods.
Exactly.
Trash.
Exactly.
Folly
It's
of the
trying-
gods.
Exactly. It ends up
Black Adam
trying
too.
too hard, and it's trying to present itself as something that it's entirely not, that it hasn't been since the beginning, right?
Mhm.
With this film, I feel like not all the jokes landed. Granted, I did kind of roll my eyes at a few of them, but when they worked, right, when they were put in, at the ones I laughed at, they were, unoffensive. They were just pretty good. I let out a couple chuckles, a couple little like snorts through my nose. I was like, okay, yeah, pretty good, pretty good. And when you compare that to like the earlier DC films, like Luis was saying about how it's just all dark, gloomy, and gray, and it does have a consistent tone, but that tone is just needlessly shitty, right? Like you got like Metropolis and Gotham. It shows those two different areas, but those cities both look the exact fucking
don't
same.
even get me started on
That was the worst
part, bro.
Gothamopolis,
Gothamopolis, river in between.
Gothamopolis, bro. Come on.
They both look the same, just at different hours of the day, and then they put CGI rain over Gotham.
Gotham's at night. Metropolis is during the day. That's it.
Exactly.
What they should have done was copy the Narrows from Batman Begins and just make that the entirety of Gotham. And then make the Gotham from the Dark Knight be like Metropolis all daytime, kind of like the regular New York type buildings.
Look,
that would work perfectly fine.
And when they showed Gotham in this city in particular, or in this film in particular, I felt
it was daytime
like
for one.
Yeah, for one, and for two, it looked like an actual tangible place. I give them credit for that. Like some of the locations in this film, outside of like the very end, but we'll get to that later. Pretty good location wise, pretty good set design and everything, pretty good setups. I thought that was good, but that's all I gotta say.
This is all basically I've got to say about the Flash. Is I think I can encapsulate into this one little tangent. Get
it off your chest.
I think
I see that Van Gogh shirt.
I think people's dislike for this movie is more about kind of the problem of superhero storytelling at large. I think people find themselves really dissatisfied with where comic book movies are, with the quality of these movies, and they're just kind of I feel using that as an excuse to shit on everything that comes out that is not like
Spider-Verse.
Like Spider-Verse. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it's okay for things to exist in a middle ground. I think nuance is very important,
correct.
especially when talking about films, right? And filmmaking, like David had said, there's a lot of hard work that goes into this, and the fact that this movie was even made, that even came out in movie theaters, in and of itself is a miracle, right? And I just think that kind of like people's expectations, my expectations for it, kind of really affected how I came out of this movie, because I was expecting it to be absolute dog water, like the worst thing I'd ever seen. And it wasn't, because it's not. Okay. It's like, it's a fun time if you can separate what Ezra Miller, the person themselves, did in real life to this character. Like, it's fine. They were okay. Like, they're not a leading person. They can't lead a movie, but they're not horrendous. Nope. The cameos were fun. The action was actually, I thought, pretty good. Like the time travel aspect of the film wasn't horrendous. It was like pretty like, okay, cool, yeah. It's not as confusing as a lot of time travel movies can be. And the one like actually absolutely terrible thing that I can take away from it was the CGI. Basically just what happened within the Speed Force. It was really like the only thing that like was absolutely horrendous. But it's like if that's the one thing that is dictating whether people think this movie is like decent or not, then we can throw Quantumania out there as well. That was fucking dog shit. Love and Thunder looks like dog shit. Black Adam may have looked a little bit better, but the script was horrendous. The acting was terrible. The plot made no sense, you know. So, and it's like, why? It's interesting that people pick this movie in particular to kind of like unload all this baggage that they have, you know, in regards to comic book movies. When it's like, dude, it's like there's worse movies in the DCU, and there's worse movies that Marvel has made as well that have come out prior to this. So it's like I just didn't really understand, and I guess all of those things together led to me being like, oh, that was not that horrendous.
So,
I guess, and I was
so
just kind of
basically, like
parody.
yeah,
Parody is
like the
important.
low bar that was set basically made you realize like the potential that this film has and how it's not actually that terrible. That basically kind of like that. Okay, I could see that.
I guess. Well, it's just like the main thing that people were complaining about was how it looked more than anything.
Yeah.
At least in my side of the internet, that's what I
the main
saw.
complaint.
That was
That's the main complaint.
So,
however, my positive is Sasha Cal can be in anything in DCU moving forward.
She was and anything includes me. She can be in me.
She was. I don't want to say. To me, she was the lone bright spot, and watching her, watching her emotionality while she was acting made me go.
She did a lot with very little.
And it always happens like that, and it pisses me off because then I go, okay, James Gunn, you said you're doing that Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow based on Tom King. There you go.
Kaya right there. Sasha
Cal's she right there. And this also makes me upset because now I'm thinking, you know, Homeboy's in charge of everything. The powers that be. You could have taken a bigger tax break if you would have just thrown the Flash in. Yeah, and release Batgirl. And just release Batgirl. Because I guarantee you, however much this movie is leaking money, I guarantee you it would not bleed as much money as this movie has done so far for the company overall.
Batgirl,
if they really wanted to have a Flash appearance, have him be involved in Batgirl somehow. I don't know how. I don't know what way, because I haven't thought of this until just now. But have him somehow be involved and make the whole Batgirl movie, the whole story they're talking about with Firefly, etc. You know, make it work. Do something.
So,
y'all are paid to do this.
I like Sasha. She's elite. After I watched the movie, the first thing I thought was they screwed up because now I want a World's Finest movie with Leslie Grace's Batgirl and Sasha's Supergirl. And they screwed up on that one.
But we haven't seen Leslie Grace's Batgirl.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying is that after I saw her, it made me go, dang, I really wish I would have been able to see that like street level Batgirl and see how that mixes with this like god of Supergirl. I would have loved to see that mesh to see if that could like work. And then I'm like, and what's the kind? I guess we'll never know.
I guess we'll never know.
Frustrates me.
But I think that brings up.
Here's
where
this could have. I was gonna say, here's where that idea would have been. When you said that, I just thought of like, you know how Michael Keaton was technically going to be in the Batgirl movie.
Yeah,
they could have taken the whole. They could have taken the whole rescuing Supergirl subplot from the rescuing Supergirl and put it in that. Have him on a mission rescuing Supergirl with Barry. Somehow Barry's involved. I don't know, but have them find Supergirl and be like, "This Kryptonian's over here. What the heck's going on?"
But
and
see,
then
you're starting to see the potential that this film had they had given the script a little bit more time and a couple more passes and let a competent writer actually get to it, because there's a lot you can do with Flash and the fact that it can travel.
The 45 directors and all the stuff that this movie
I know. I think that ended up damaging it, but I think a lot of this also has to do with the fact that like what's going on with DC and DC Studios at large, like is gonna affect every movie that comes out before Superman Legacy, regardless, because we as consumers, as fans, whatever, as an audience, know that this movie means dick.
Yeah.
Blue Beetle means dick. And
I'm
even
gonna be in there
not
day
to
one for
me.
Blue Beetle though. I'm
sure,
gonna be in there
I
day
am
one for Blue
too.
Beetle.
Trust me, I am.
First
For the
night.
boy Zolo, for the
But they
homie
don't-
Zolo.
in there.
They don't mean anything because we know that the universe is rebooting. We know that James Gunn is being purposely vague about
Yep.
what characters might or might not make a return. Fucking Aquaman, the post-credit stinger in The Flash is
Yeah.
Barry Allen talking to Jason Momoa, telling him every person looks different except for you. You're the exact same in every universe I've
which is
been
so
to.
weird. Which is
Exactly,
just like,
which is very
what is the
strange.
choice for that?
They're trying to force.
And that was my problem whenever we first had covered that James Gunn was taking over DC Studios. We're like, this is great. He's going to reboot it. He knows exactly what he wants. He has a plan. Just clean slate, start over. And in fact, now I'm
That was our
worried
most
because
viewed episode at the time too.
now I'm worried because it seems like it's quite the opposite. He's trying to have his cake and eat it. He's trying to reboot the DC universe while picking and choosing which aspects of the prior regime he's going to keep, i.e. Blue Beetle, which he said, I love Jaime Reyes' character. He'll definitely show up again
I
in
think
the future. And then teasing Jason Momoa's return. It's like,
you know, Matt.
You know, I've always been on the camp that I said this after Batman vs Superman. Then I reiterated it after I watched Justice League. DC needed to be rebooted hard, like a hard reboot,
Oh, yes.
change everything, because it went past the point of, hey, let's scrap these stories and keep the cast we have and just rewrite everything, remake everything, or do something different. To now they've butchered it so far that there's no point trying to salvage whatever's left. I 100% agree. Everything, and I mean everything. It hurts to say this because I really love the Suicide Squad. I love Peacemaker. I love what they have going on there. But if we want to reboot Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and everybody else, reboot it all. Go back to clean slate. Do not let anybody have any perceptions of anything. Any like, oh, well, you kept this character from this movie. So what is it? How's this going to work? He's still part of that universe. And da 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 da. Just scrap it all, bro. It's okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
Erase it all. Do not let us remember anything. Remember in the Flashpoint Paradox, the animated, when Barry runs off and it goes white.
Yeah.
No, wrong movie. Justice League, Dark Apocalypse War.
Yeah.
It runs off and it goes white and everything's reset. Do that. That should have been the ending. He should have ran and started doing the Chronosphere thing, or really he should have been running and like just running. He's like, run, Barry, run, and he takes off. You know, he's excited. He's excited that his dad beat the case.
They did.
They didn't
George
do it
Clooney,
right.
George Clooney showing up at the end is kind of indicative.
It's not
that
enough.
Zack Snyder's universe is like
it's
done.
To me, all it looks like is they didn't erase Zack Snyder's universe. They just pulled everybody else into it. They pulled Michael Keaton into it. They pulled George Clooney into it. If
not Ben Affleck though.
Kind of like with,
he was already there. He was already the Batman of that universe.
He's done. No, but we have
got
George
subbed
Clooney,
out.
not Ben.
He got subbed out. That's what I'm saying. Like they're pulling everything instead of just resetting the whole shit, all of it.
The way,
you know,
I think it was. I thought of it kind of like I think I'm referencing the correct event in the comics, because there's definitely like it's either Infinite Crisis or Crisis on Infinite Earths, where the original Superman from the Golden Age, from I believe Earth 2, gets
when they
pulled
reset to
in.
New 52, right?
Yeah. This is pre New 52. This is like one of the first Crisis events.
Infinite. It's the one with Darkseid, right?
It was with when Superboy Prime first gets put into their dimension before he turns evil.
Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Crisis on Infinite Earths. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Because that's with like the Monitor, right? And that's where
yes, precisely.
Avocado is finally losing weight.
What?
Sorry,
the avocado is losing weight.
Keep going.
Crisis on Infinite Grocery Stores. Is that you watching?
Right. But during that one, a Golden Age Superman, so like one that's aged in real time, right? That's an older man, and then Superboy Prime which is from basically an Earth that's similar to ours, where nobody has any powers, but he just randomly gets the powers of Superman. He becomes a superhero, right? Those two get pulled in when all of the Earths during that event start to merge and converge into one singular timeline. So what I'm thinking, or at least what I gathered from the movie, with all the people being different and different things happening, moving around,
different worlds.
I assumed that with that converging and him messing up the timeline, maybe like it got warped to where the history of George Clooney's Batman, whatever the fuck he did while he was off screen, right?
The best fucking Batman of all time. That's what he was doing. Looking sexy as fuck. That's what he was doing.
Nespresso Batman.
And also, like they just made a new universe. That's what I interpreted. But I'm a comic book nerd. I've been reading this shit for 30 years.
That's an accurate assessment, bro. That's a very accurate assessment. You saw the worlds were colliding too. Remember that the tagline is "Worlds collide" on every marketing.
That's what I inferred. That's what like we can infer as comic book fans, knowing the lore and being like, oh yeah, on page issue, blah blah blah. But like Luis has said time and time again with these comic book movies, these movies are not made for us. They're made for the broad audience, the consumers. And the casual moviegoer is not going to know that. And I feel like that's a weakness of this movie to me. There's a whole lot of stuff that I got after thinking about it for a couple of seconds where I'm like, oh, that's this in the comics. That's that reference. That's that
you have prior knowledge about.
Exactly. That's those rules being followed because it's from the source material. However, not a lot of those are expanded on in a way in the movie that I feel like is digestible in layman's terms for the casual, normal person. And I feel
that's exactly what we've said before, that they just need to make good shit, dude. It's like make one cohesive story that makes sense and is good, that people can understand and they will have a good time and enjoy. If you can do that and add in little tidbits, Easter eggs, cameos, kind of end credit scene that teases something else, then okay. But it's just so difficult to tell multiverse stories in general.
In one movie.
And then putting it to film and trying to stuff it all in one movie is
also
so
making it the first Flash movie.
That's their biggest mistake. Taking Flashpoint and making that the first movie was a huge error. It should have been a Flash versus
you brought it up,
Captain Cold, or a Flash versus
any of the Rogues would be fine.
Any of them.
Boomerang.
Yeah,
Boomerang, all of them.
You brought it up, Luis. But so here's what I think is going on: is that James Gunn, the creator, is confined by what he wants to do because of people at the top and what the shareholders need to know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because I fully believe, like I said, I'm an optimist. I fully believe that after watching The Flash and and Shazam and all that stuff, James Gunn knows what he wants to use moving forward. Problem is that now he's in charge. He has to sell these movies one way or another. Because if he would have went out there and said, hey, none of this stuff is getting used, I'll see y'all in 2024. Nobody, The Flash wouldn't have got 153 million.
He said this was the best comic book movie of all time, and he still didn't do shit.
And it's still flopped. D'Angelo Cruz to say this movie's good.
And it's still flopped. I would have thrown this shit under the bus. It made like $50 million. I would have said this shit is dog shit. Made $30 million and then cut my fucking losses. I only lose 20 mil. You know.
You would have given Zaslav a heart attack, bro. If you did, Zaslav would have straight died. The next announcement would have been deep breaking news. WB.
You think he's happy as fuck about the fact that the Flash flopped?
Oh, he doesn't. Here's the thing. He doesn't care because one, it's still seen as a positive as you earning money, and then two. He's coming over for the Discovery World. If he's focused on the reality, the 100 and something hours of reality TV he's about to infuse because of the writer's strike, because of the SAG strike that's coming, because of all this stuff that you need writers to do. You know what you don't need writers for is reality TV.
He's also focused on trying to sell the company.
Oh yeah, in about 3 years, like he's gonna do another sale. So that's what happens when you have someone that's making the financial decisions above you, that is like, hey, we gonna cancel this, we gonna do this, we gonna change this, we gonna do that. And it's like, but what? So I put down here, like DCU movies like decline after Aquaman, right? So Aquaman somehow made 1.1 billion. I always forget
Crazy.
which is again 800 of that is overseas. So
Jesus.
but that's also because of China, right?
Yeah.
Shazam made 300 million because China had already shut down because of COVID, or in the process of shutting down.
Yeah.
So
'Cause
Shazam,
that was 28. No,
that was 2019.
2019. Yeah, 2019. Shazam
So
came out.
Shazam gets like the last bit before they say no. Birds of Prey makes 200 million, no box office overseas.
Rest in peace.
Wonder Woman
Birds of Prey.
1984 makes 169 million,
Worst
no box
movie.
office overseas.
Worst
Suicide
DC
Squad
movie.
makes the same amount of money as Wonder Woman 1984, 169 million. No Chinese box office, right? So
Best
those four
DC
movies,
movie.
those four movies don't have any. I don't say any global box office, but they don't have the biggest box office in the world, bigger than America's, is China, and it was closed for those four movies, right? Black Adam opens. China opens up for Black Adam. Black Adam makes 393 million. So it already
Super
makes more than
doo-doo.
Shazam, right?
Yeah.
Why? Because The
Super
Rock.
doo-doo.
You can sell a movie. You can sell a turd if The Rock is in it or on it and his face is on it. People are gonna buy it overseas. That's just that's
The
just how it
Rock is already selling turds. Every movie he's in is a fucking turd.
Then
Red Notice.
Fury of the Gods.
Jumanji.
Big stinker, right? 133 million. So that huge drop. And now The Flash with 141 million is where it's at right now, right? So I put down here.
I am part of the
Problems.
141.
I'm part of the 141. There's your shirt.
Unfortunately.
I put down here
Against my will.
why? What's the what happened? And I put down here, right? You have multiple visions with no clear direction, right? So you don't know where's going which. I put you got personalities in the way. We already talked about with Black Adam. COVID, which means no movies debuted in China for 2 whole years. Okay, and Aquaman got out of the 1.1 billion, 800 million came from China. That's a massive at least we got China, we can get that money. That's what you're waiting for. You don't have that. You only had one live action TV series, which was Peacemaker, which is in 2022, right?
Hard.
According to Wikipedia, there's 31 canceled projects
Good Lord.
since the start of Man of Steel.
31? That includes the Green
DC
Lantern stuff
projects.
too, right?
That includes not the change into the new stuff, but that includes we're gonna make a Deathstroke movie. Yeah, we're gonna make a Cyborg movie. 31 projects
Ben
that they
Affleck's
just talked
Batman
about.
movie.
Exactly, including
Side note,
Batgirl.
that one would have saved DC. I personally believe that would have saved the DC.
31
No.
That's just me.
canceled projects, right? Then you also had Jeff Johns saying he wanted to keep the TV and the movie universe separate. So
Which
he
is a
was
big
basically
mistake.
going the Arrowverse stuff don't really count. Meanwhile, early on, Arrowverse is carrying DC. Early on,
The
with
Arrow
early
Flash, season
early
1.
Arrow, it's knocking it out the park, right? Then you have I put hard to discern timeline because there is no this is a year after. There is no
this is happening then.
I think
no one
remember
knows.
in Batman vs Superman it said 18 months after
That was one.
Black
That's
Zero.
one of the only
That's
movies
the only
that
one.
Specifically tells you, boom, this happens at this point. Okay, this is first and this is second. Now I can follow. There isn't really that. You're left
That's a
to
fair
guess.
point. Yeah.
And then the last thing
Wonder
I put
Woman.
was
That Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
slide,
Wonder
too.
Woman.
It's back in 1917
Exactly.
or whatever.
And then I put the last thing is no Kevin Feige personality. There was no this person's gonna run these things and tell you what's connecting and tell you
Wasn't that essentially what Walter Hamada was doing though?
But he
Trying
was not
to.
he was not in the public eye like that.
Yeah.
As a comparison to, like I said, as Walter Hamada was here's what we're doing in the comics. Oh, that movie in 4 years, we'll get to that. Here's Zack Snyder. That's basically what it was for years.
That's the movie stuff. You take care of it.
Exactly. Which
you
is,
do it.
It's a weird spot to put the director be oh yeah, by the way, I need you to explain all this DC stuff to everybody.
Right.
And it was all of those were just problems after problems after problems. So if it was up to me, you do a hard break, you clean hard reset. However, for in order to keep money interest at the shareholder level for people whose bank accounts look larger than the world. They have to hold some semblance of some things, and to hold them until we get to whatever 2024 and beyond looks like. And that's why I think it's kind of like I like Blue Beetle. We'll see. Like, I think because it's like, if there wasn't any financial like holdover, after watching what James Gunn did with all the Guardians and what he did with Suicide Squad, I feel like he has no qualms about keeping or getting rid of a character if he needs to like get rid of them or move on. So I feel like
that's why I'm conflicted about it, because I feel like James Gunn really likes the characters that he's working with, and I feel like he has really specific stories that he wants to tell, and there's movies that he really wants to make, shows that he wants to make, projects that he wants to work on. And that's the only reason I feel like he accepted this job, because it does not seem worth it, dealing with all this bullshit, all the politics involved with trying to navigate the financial straits, while also the creative aspect of it, and constantly having to juggle between the two worlds. It seems like too much pressure and stress.
That's why it's that's why it's Peter Safran.
But Peter Safran ain't doing shit, dog.
As far as I know, I don't know what he's doing.
As far as like public facing, it's mostly James Gunn.
He's like,
James Gunn is the public. Like, I think Peter's like on the director
little
side.
brother that mom says you have to bring everywhere right now. I don't know what he's doing, but he's just there. Everyone's like, "Oh, James Gunn and Peter Safran are the CEOs." Really, James Gunn is there and doing everything. Peter Safran's like, "Yeah,
I think
for the ride."
I realistically think Peter. I think James Gunn is the face for like fans and the average person.
Yeah,
I'm willing to bet a lot that Peter is the person in those shareholder calls and talking to those people and making those deals and doing all that on the back end behind the scenes, so James can kind of go like, "I'm gonna focus here."
Yeah,
I will say he does have a big big plan. What's it called? A big hand in a lot of the
Safran's done Conjurings. Like he's been around for years, and he knows how to make something that makes money. That's why he's here. So I think that he's the Nun,
Annabelle.
Yeah, like that boy. All his movies make bank.
He does a lot of the discussion stuff too, with like he talked to unfortunately Zachary Levi about being in Shazam, etc. He's talking with Sasha right now about maybe moving forward into the future of DC. I see him, like you said. Yeah, we joke he's the little brother that look at me, I'm just here. He's still doing a lot of stuff. It's just it's not as publicized as James Gunn. It's like you said, James Gunn's the face. James Gunn's the Kevin Feige, but like Peter Safran's like the Bob Iger, if you will.
Yeah.
And,
Go ahead.
And definitely no shade to Peter Safran, because I genuinely forgot that he made The Conjuring. I do indeed enjoy those films.
I love The
We
Conjuring.
love Peter.
James Gunn, I feel like his directorial style, that a lot of people know him for, that good balance between like darkness, right, but a little bit of that humorous aspect. When you have films that are more horror focused, right, you have films like, not necessarily Brightburn, because that's just actually terrifying, but if you take a film that he has that mixes but if you take a film that he has that mixes horror and comedy pretty reasonably well, you have a film like The Belko Experiment. Right?
Yes,
The Belko Experiment is a fantastic blend of darkness and comedy, and DC historically has struggled with that. And James Gunn also is, I feel like, compared to a lot of other directors nowadays, and even in past movies that I've seen, is exquisite with dealing with ensemble cast and giving each character a moment to shine in a way that not only makes sense from beginning to end and in terms of like their character progression, but in a way that blends each character with these distinctly different personalities and puts them on screen, and they play off against each other really well. And he shines with that, with the Guardians films, with we've seen it in the Suicide Squad, even in Peacemaker, even though it's focused on Peacemaker himself and his life. The way that John Cena and the rest of the cast is, their characters are able to play off of each other.
He brought Chuck Woody to be High Evolutionary in Guardians 3. Like
Exactly.
he knows the people. He sees the one who's like, all right, I see a use for you.
And
I got your number. I'm gonna call you.
Yeah, and with the way that he's able to take all of these factors and make a great film, I feel like he hits the nail on the head for every single thing DC needs. That balance of darkness and humor, because they figured out that the diehard Snyder fans like that edge to their films, that sort of dark
Edgelord
aspect.
movie.
Exactly.
Boo.
then they
Get him out of
struggle
here.
with putting the jokes into their films. James Gunn
They
is
should
really
edge
smart
themselves
with
into
his
some
comedy.
bitches. That's what they should do.
But
That's
he's-
one
he's
of
good
those-
You're
Continue.
cooking, man. I'm sorry.
Continue.
He was cooking, my bad.
He's good at injecting that sense of humor and levity in a way that doesn't undercut the more dramatically tensioned moments. Like
Yes,
when Peter
he's
Quill
good at
says, "Open the
nuance.
fucking." Yes,
Yep.
exactly. When they're going to try to break into the High Evolutionary and confront him, and they have to get in that car, and fucking Nebula doesn't know how to open a car door. And he just says, "Open the fucking door." That's hilarious, but it doesn't undercut
was
the seriousness
amazing.
of that moment.
Of the
When the
situation.
Guardians are all split up, it doesn't and they make a joke about, "Oh, I didn't stay with the car, sorry." It doesn't undercut the seriousness, and he's good at keeping that consistent pace and flow going. So
I feel like it's going to be hard for him to make these movies when Big Daddy Zaslav is breathing down your fucking
That
neck.
is true. There will be a great
This
amount of
bitch better
studio.
make $900 million fucking dollars.
That
Yeah.
is true.
900
There will be-
bazillion dollars.
That is how it is with a lot of productions, right? Across film, there is a lot of studio interference.
Goddamn
Rest
capitalism.
assured, right? But I
Destroying art.
feel like
Why do you
with
think
how
Phase 4
DC
was, or Phase 4 was doo-doo?
exactly, and
Plus
with
COVID,
how,
but I can't let
Because
that
they hire a
slide.
whole bunch of abusers.
With-
That's why.
with how DC is ready to just wipe the slate clean, hand the reins off to James Gunn and Safran, right?
Yep, Peter Safran.
Yeah,
Shit, friend.
to hand the reins off to the both of them and shake their entire cinematic universe and basically put it in their hands. I feel like they are rest assured that their investment will pay off if they trust in their vision. Now, yeah, they're dead.
No way. Zaslav is not going to fucking hand over the keys to the fucking kingdom. He's not
But
going
whenever-
to.
Not entirely, no. But
He's
there
talking about
will
for
be
DC.
like
Or just for
compared,
DC.
yeah, compared to like past directors, right? Where they had like maybe 45%. James Gunn and Safran are going to get 45 and a half, just a little bit extra to get them to cook. You know what I mean?
I get it. Yeah.
They're going to be putting more faith in them.
A plus, I was thinking about this earlier because James Gunn article came up, and I was like, also a good plus for James moving forward is that James is not afraid. I think in terms of what I've seen, he's not afraid to make his movies, to make the cast of his movies reflect what the real world looks like compared to what other directors in DC have done in the past. So like, I don't think it's like out. If it was somebody else other than James Gunn, I'd be like, nah, they wouldn't do that. But I don't think it's outlandish for the Green Lantern show to start with Jon Stewart under James Gunn. Like, I don't think that's an outlandish thing to think of.
With
or
me
for them
as
to
Jon
go like,
Stewart.
you know what? Hal is not in this until season 2. We going with Kyle Rayner.
Are you saying a black man to lead
Jon
a
Stewart
show?
And maybe we'll get to Guy Gardner in like a season or two. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or
Kyle Rayner.
Screw it. Next season, we're going into Far Sector. We're going to hang out with Joe Sojourner. That doesn't make me go. That doesn't surprise me. Same thing
Of
with like
course
the
not.
Paradise Lost Wonder Woman thing, where I'm like, shoot, if I'm James, I'm calling Gina Price Blythewood, and you get Nubia in that show. You get Yara Flor in that show.
Yes.
Like it's going to look different than just Themyscira in Wonder. I'm not trying to preach. Themyscira in Wonder Woman 1, where it's like
Master.
white.
But that's
Kinda black.
that's exactly what they need to
white.
do, which is what we talk about all the time. How if they say it's a complete new rebrand, a restart for the DC universe, then make it so. Give us a Superman we've never seen before. Give us a Batman that we've never seen before. Give us a Wonder Woman story, a Green Lantern story we have not seen before, characters we have not seen, story arcs that we love that have not touched the screen, and just give us something completely different and new.
I think that's what because I think his whole thing is like establish the Trinity first, Superman,
Yeah.
Batman, Wonder Woman, and then like, okay, there's your
And then
foundation. We
branch
can
out.
move on. Yeah, because I've really like you have that stuff with Wonder Woman. I was just had it in the top of my head and it went away. But
Oh my bad.
the opportunities to do so many different things, I think are really, the chance that it actually does happen is higher with James Gunn than other people if they were in charge, like if they were to take the reins. I think that James is like, that's why we have a Waller show with Viola Davis already. It's like one of the first things is because it's like, all right, these are the characters that I'm gonna put Viola Davis front and center in a TV show. I'm gonna put, again, like I said, I'm gonna put Jon Stewart front and center in a TV show. I'm gonna do
even Trevante Rhodes.
Yeah, I'm down for
Not
Trevante.
me. Put me in it. I've been waiting for this day. They took Kang away from me, bro. They gave it to Jonathan Majors. They took all my roles.
That might be up for grabs real quick.
Yeah,
that might be up for grabs. Don't worry.
Like they're like
when you see the Kang recast, and I walk out and I punch Captain America in the face. Sam, I'm coming for you. Sam, I'm coming for you.
A really good position, like early on, because you could do the Calvin Ellis Superman, the Val Zod Superman. You've got room and you've got the ability to do all of that and kind of start where the MCU failed when it started, where it was like MCU was like white guy, white guy, white guy, white guy, white girl, white guy, white guy, and that was the Avenger. That was phase 1.
Black Panther, white guy, white guy.
And then it was
like,
and everyone was like, well, but what about the black people? And they were like, because that's Ike Perlmutter, and he was like, Heimdall's in there. You're welcome. And that's all we got.
You're like, fine. Here's your movie with all black people. Here you go, guys.
And so I think they're in a really good position to kind of flip that on the head and go like, okay, let's early, like, because it happened in comics and like that's what I was thinking of. Comics around like 2010, like 2000s, 2010 is when you started getting like all new, all different, and it just like, okay, this is what the world actually looks like, not what you thought it looked like from the 90s all the way on. So
I feel like James Gunn has kept that idea alive because they did talk about Elseworlds and about having Elseworld stories. And Matt Reeves, the Batman, is basically an Elseworld story.
He said it was
because
an Elseworld.
He did. Yeah, he says it exists under this umbrella, but not in this universe that we're building. But there's a little bit for everybody. So they do have a lot of wiggle room.
It's a great, like, listen, if you don't like the newer version of some of these characters and you want a white Green Lantern, there's plenty of Hal Jordan to read. We ain't got to deal with him the first. Like, if you don't want to watch it or you want to watch the Zack Snyder, go ahead.
I'm going to
don't be upset and angry and complain when, like, because I said it to last 2 weeks ago with the Miles Morales thing, was that when the kids that grow up now moving forward, when they only know the Yara Flor Wonder Woman, or they only know because Jon Stewart was our Green Lantern.
That's what I was about to say. That's exactly what I was about to say.
It wasn't Hal
That's
Jordan.
Our Green Lantern.
Hal Jordan was the 80s. Like,
like
it should have been Jon Stewart for the past 10 to 15 years, and we haven't gotten him. And so now we're already on to Sojourner. Like, we've moved past Jon Stewart comic-wise. So, like, DC is kind of behind in that style. So, like, if I'm James Gunn, which some of that is in, like, Creature Commandos and stuff like that, but, like, Justice League Dark, let's get it rocking. Let's get it crazy. Because I know that's one of the ones that's been on the list for 15 years.
Graham, is that you?
Like,
Graham wants that so
done. Bad. I would love it would be if you did it well again, but it's also like you got to get the right people. You got to get the right people to put in places, which I think James Gunn is smart enough to be like, all right. Since they canceled Lovecraft Country, why don't you put Misha Green on that Paradise Lost show instead? Put her there, because you saw what Jonathan and Journey did in that show, and then you saw Journey's Black Canary. And like, put Journey as an Amazonian. Like, use those connections and put some of the people that's been putting in the work and not really getting the respect, and put them in a position to get that respect. Yeah, that's how I felt about Rick Famuyiwa, because he was going to do the Flash movie years ago.
He really, dude. I just remember that he was
like, because this is right off of Dope, and he was like, I wanted to make it like small, more mature themes. Like it's gonna be deal with some heavy stuff. And Warner Brothers at the time was like multiverse, and he was like, I just want to keep it multiverse. And he was like, all right. And then Lucasfilm picked up the phone and was like, yo, you want to direct Mandalorian? And then he took off and did that. So it was like,
said, I sure do.
Warner Brothers, you missed an opportunity there. So now
Massive
I'm like,
fumble.
all right, James Gunn, call him and let him do the Static Shock movie. Or call him and do, like, there are opportunities.
Give us a good Black Lightning.
Exactly.
Please. That show was,
Night
bro,
Thrasher,
Tobias.
Like, give us some.
Leave
give us
Tobias
something
out
like,
of it.
That's what I'm saying is that I think James Gunn knows some of those really in-depth, like, actually, like character-driven and like directors who will like, listen, this movie's only going to cost you 70 to 80 million.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a really emotional driven story. It's not going to be 200 plus million, like very bloated. It's going to be, hey, Chad Stahelski, are you done with John Wick? Probably not. But in your meantime, do you want to do a Deathstroke in Arkham Asylum movie? Do you want to do a 90-minute hour or R-rated action
David,
movie?
I'm gonna tell you the same thing I tell Graham all the time. Your own expectations and hopes for what this universe can hold for you
are through the
roof, and they will never live up to whatever dog shit ass fucking plan DC Studios and Peter Zaslav and Safran and James Gunn have in store for us, because they're going to give us characters.
That's allergy medicine.
Peter Safran. Saffron, not Zaffron.
Like
my bad.
You said Zaslav and Zaffran. I was like,
who gives a fuck? Whatever.
which
Those are
multiverse is
Dayquil.
this?
Peter Dayquil.
Earth 92.
But it's like they're gonna give us Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman, Creature Commando, Swamp Thing, and then what?
I'm excited for the
Justice
Swamp
League,
Thing, John.
another
too.
Justice League movie, and it's like, where is all these interesting and cool ideas that you guys can?
Where are the cool
do or you guys
characters
could do?
at?
Exactly. But
Where's this?
Yeah.
I hope you're right.
Like-
I hope they do decide to go.
I'm just
different direction with
optimistic.
it.
I'm optimistic. That's all.
Yeah.
At least until like
Not
Zaslav
cynical.
sells it, and then whoever takes it next can be like, all right, we not doing that. Then I'm
Apple.
gonna be like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
Probably if we're.
But I'd say
Netflix.
overall we can definitely agree that the future of the DC universe is very up in the air, but overall seems pretty good. At least
I
in
agree.
comparison to what we have. And speaking for what we have, you know what
Wait
a
a
lot
minute.
of us have? You know what a lot of us have in life, guys?
What do
Trust
we have?
issues. And you know
Hold
who
on,
is hard
hold
to
on.
trust?
Hold on. Wait.
I thought this
People-
was I thought this was beginning
wait,
a really good
there's
ad
still-
read.
There's still one more point.
Still getting an
There's
ad
still-
read.
There's still one more point I want to bring up before we move
Yeah,
on.
you can trust him. NordVPN just came, no free cloud.
This is NordVPN.
The one last thing, which is we kind of touched on it a little bit with the CGI,
Yeah.
the cameos. Those really unsettled me during that movie.
I like
just
all of them
knowing-
except for one.
was it George Reeves?
No,
Christopher Reeves.
Both of those. I was like, this is messed up, bro. George Reeves killed himself.
Yeah.
He unalived
Yeah.
himself because of Superman. He thought he had no career.
That's
And they were
right,
over there
that's right.
parroting him around
Yeah, that's
in
right.
that
That's
movie.
right.
And then Christopher
Yeah,
Reeves,
seeing him and Christopher Reeves
rest
after
his soul.
Christopher Reeves broke his neck and died, like I was just like,
it was tragic.
Like,
and they're just
it just
using him
felt-
for clout.
it felt uncomfortable to me.
You know?
It was
Oh,
it was
yeah.
it was
Jay
over
Garrett-
quickly. It was over
That
quickly,
Jay-
so I was
Yo,
like, oh,
yeah.
okay.
Bro,
That,
also it's like
that Jay
it's
Garrick
like-
that they used was like
But
they
also-
couldn't even tell us it was Teddy Sears or if it was John Wesley Shipp.
Yeah,
I was like, what
yeah,
is
yeah,
this? This
yeah.
is so bad, bro.
But
And
also,
then
like,
Nick Cage
why-
super shiny?
why
and
use
sheeny.
Superman as like the over
PS2
like I get it. It's like
graphic
Again,
Superman.
there's the
Oh,
problem. This is
yeah.
a Flash movie.
it's like
Why
yeah,
are
and
there-
it's like we haven't seen Superman the entire movie, and we get Supergirl. So I can
Yeah.
get I get you give us different versions of Supergirl.
Ooh,
But why Superman? He wasn't in
Dude.
in one fucking scene of this movie throughout the entire time.
Why not give us a timeline, a run of different Flashes across
Or different
history?
Batman.
You know,
Give us
Exactly
George
my point,
Clooney,
Matt.
give us Val Kilmer,
Jay
Exactly my
Garrick
point.
in
wheelchair
World War
bound
II.
ass.
Yeah.
Have World War
okay,
II Jay Garrick.
This has bugged me since I saw the film, and this is mostly what has kept me up at night. That ending scene,
He's about
right?
to cook.
Of all of the fucking Earths coalescing, right?
That's kind of cool.
There's two parts of this that
It was
actually,
cool.
technically three, if you count like the weird smooth face versions of CGI dead people that was very disrespectful that they put in that film.
Nicolas Cage is
nuts.
not dead. How fucking dare you?
Adam West is dead.
Bro,
Nicolas Cage is very much
Nicolas
alive.
Cage was the one that wasn't.
But the
bro
two
forgot
things
that he was in Unbearable Weight.
the two things that pissed me off to no fucking end is that you have all of these alternate versions of like Batman and Superman, and there is no Flash, right?
Yep.
But there is an alternate Flash that they have in this movie, played by Ezra, right? That is the exact same person with like a weird CGI face put over a body
that's
double.
fucking
That was so
shit,
horrible.
dude.
When they were in the same
What?
scene together, the phasing thing, I was like, what is going on? And then
But
Barry
what
too would be like,
bothered me is they bothered to show some random fucking guy as Jay Garrick in the George Reese Superman universe, right?
Yeah, so that
But they
wasn't
did
John
not-
Wesley, right?
and
That
no,
wasn't John
and it
Wesley.
wasn't.
That wasn't
it
it.
wasn't
Okay.
Teddy Sears. Remember Teddy Sears from the Flash
Oh,
show?
fucking pissed me off the most.
It was neither of
Exactly.
them.
It was though. He said he said he didn't go into film anything.
Exactly.
But he doesn't
Exactly.
remember.
But he works for
And-
the CW, which is owned by Warner Brothers,
Yeah.
and they can use their
Yeah, they just
likeness
scanned his face.
whenever the
Yeah.
fuck they want, however the fuck they want.
Exactly. The Flash, okay, like David had said at the beginning, right? The Flash has been in development hell for almost an entire decade, right? And during
More
that
than a
decade,
decade, yeah.
for that decade or even more span, the Flash was on for 9 motherfucking seasons. This is the Flash everybody knows. Everybody knows Grant Gustin. Matter of fact, they did Flashpoint for the first season storyline. Right? Shut
Flash
up.
is on
Louise. No one
every
I didn't
Monday
watch
night.
that. I did not watch
Every
that
Monday
shit.
night
It was good.
for 9 years.
I did
Every
not.
Monday night for
Exactly.
9 years.
And
I
the
did
first storyline they did
I was
was
watching bitches.
Flashpoint. However, they extended it over a season and then did it for like half of season 2, along with the repercussions of Flashpoint.
Yep.
Up until the end.
Ezra's
Extended it.
Flash shows up in the CW Flash,
Yeah, and
right?
Exactly.
Crisis.
Wait a
So
minute.
why, in the
Didn't he-
effervescent, Scarlet speeding
They did.
Hold on.
They did. Yeah, they
Wait a
did.
minute.
did not appear
No,
in
because
this
that
with
was-
any other versions of Flash?
That was
Why?
when wasn't the last episode of season 1 when he was when he ran across the water real fast. No, that was that was like the second episode.
That was
No,
like the,
That was the
second
first season.
episode. That was
the first season.
I just
so then-
remember seeing it on Twitter where Ezra Miller's Flash
Yes.
shows up in the
That's
CW
in-
show.
That's in Crisis.
That's in season
when
5, right?
Flash. No, that's later because the Flash
That's like
recently
season
did-
Yeah, it was like
Crisis.
a couple years ago. It was like a couple years ago.
Yeah, it was
3
only like
years
2
ago.
years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2-3 years
And-
ago.
That was
they
that recent.
genuinely
It feels like
show up.
forever ago.
They genuinely show up face to face in that episode and they
Yeah.
have a conversation.
Yeah.
And then Barry goes back, presumably, to the events of Justice League, because that's supposed to happen continuity wise around the
Yeah.
time where during Justice League he runs 10 seconds back in time to try to save everybody. Right?
What?
Isn't that how he
Well,
got the name The Flash too?
Yeah. But what bothered me about this is that you have Grant Gustin, who has met this continuity's version of the fucking Flash and didn't have the balls to put him in here. But you have some fucking rando cosplaying Jay Garrick from Party City for no fucking reason. That bothered me profoundly. Because I was like,
'cause
oh my god.
It made sense
all
that
these worlds-
that Jay Garrett showed up because it was in a completely separate universe that took place. That's like in the past. That took place
They
like in the
showed
60s.
one alternate Flash. That's my thing.
Sure, yeah.
They showed only one in a Flash-centered movie. Sure, you
Well,
have
we
Barry
should've
2,
got-
but Barry 2 is just Barry from the
No,
original
we got two
movie, from
Flashes.
the previous movie.
You got Barry 1 and Barry 2.
No, but Barry 2 is
Flash,
just
2
Barry from the
Furious.
previous movie. It's basically just the same dude stacked on top of each other. It's a hat on a
Yeah,
hat.
It's
technically-
Barry from a
What pisses
different
me off.
universe where they don't have metahumans.
I
But
get
it's
what
almost
I
the
get
same.
what I get what AZ's saying though. Like they should have had Barry. They should have had future Barry. Like, you know how in the show there's 2023 Barry. He's all long haired, emo.
Yeah.
They should have had evil. Also, Dark Flash is just Savitar. I don't care what anyone says.
Savitar,
Dark Flash is just Savitar. Bootleg Savitar. They should have had Jay Garrick, like an actual Jay Garrick show. Wally,
Impulse. They should have had. Yeah, there's 7
what's
Flashes.
It called? Excess. They should have had.
See, as someone who didn't read Flash comics growing up or doesn't know enough about Flash, never watched the show. That was the one kind of like goofy ass thing that I always thought. I would always see screenshots on Twitter. I was like, who the fuck is it? The reverse Dark Flash, backwards reverse, forwards Flash, and I was like, who the fuck? And I was like, and now, but he's black, and this one's a girl, and this one's actually Batgirl, who is a black woman, but is also the Flash. And I'm just what the fuck is going on? From an outside perspective, it seemed like they were just kind of doing, and I don't know if any of that is comic accurate.
You're also looking at the end of the screeching crash of the
Flash
universe.
Everything past season 5 is not relevant. Do not count anything past season 5.
And then to tack on to what Luis said, this is my second gripe, right? Usually I'm having fun as a comic book fan. I'm like, oh, look, it's that thing that I read on that piece of paper. That's fantastic. 5 stars, amazing film. This pissed me off because I was like, no one is going to get this, and even if you do get this reference, it means nothing. It's so fucking random and out of nowhere. So, Luis, you saw Nicolas Cage as Superman, right?
Yeah, the spider.
Do you want to know why that's in there?
Yes, I know why it's in there.
Right?
I know because that's what that was the villain of Nicolas Cage's movie was a giant spider. Yeah. I thought it was cool. Yeah. I was like, stupid. I was like Leo in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
That's because you understand it, right? You understand why that's there. To the common person,
no one knows.
Average motherfucker,
they don't know why the heck they just saw.
But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter though.
They're like looking around. They're like, oh wow, is that fucking Nicolas Cage? Like, what is going on?
You know what? You know, I think you're overselling. I think a regular person would have been like, that's Nicolas Cage. That's weird. Oh, he's Superman. That's a giant spider. That's kind of cool. I wish we would have gotten that movie, and that's it. And that's literally the extent of it. It's like I don't think people would have been like, what the fuck is going on? Is that a giant spider fighting Nicolas Cage?
Just like it feeds into the whole thing of like the Grant Gustin situation, right? You had all these versions of Superman, right? And you could have picked one that people would recognize and know by picking Brandon Routh. Or even
Henry
fucking Tom. What is his name? From
Tyler Welling.
Tom
Welling.
Yeah,
Tom Welling.
He's putting in work right now.
Smallville up here.
Yeah,
but or even the one from Superman and Lois could have had any of those recognizable ones, and you chose some obscure reference that 5 people are going to understand, or most people are just going to gloss over and be like, oh wow. So like in a hypothetical world where this isn't the very last DC film, right? And this continuity kept going, people would want to see whatever becomes of that. And what the fuck could you possibly do to get people's butts into seats to see fucking damn near 60-year-old Nicolas Cage in a skin-tight Superman suit? No one's gonna pay to see that.
I don't think the people who went to go watch The Flash are gonna see Tyler Hoechlin and be like, "That's my fucking Superman, right? Let me go check out that show that's on the CW that almost nobody knows." It's like they're not gonna do that. No one's gonna look at Tom Welling and be like, "This is what I came for. This is fucking
aspect."
I don't think any. Well, I think the thing is nobody is, because of the state of DC. No one's number one going to this movie.
And 2, it doesn't matter. And 2, it doesn't matter.
It's like, okay, and the movie's over, and they'll go,
that's it.
Should I care about Blue Beetle? Should I care about Aquaman too?
Exactly.
Which is again going back to our previous problem of like,
what's the point?
Yeah, of like it's in an unfortunate situation where it's like we could just not see these and we wouldn't miss anything, like period.
Because also think about it, Izzy. If they would have put Tyler Hoechlin or Tom Welling in this, you're like, okay, whatever, you get hype, you watch the show. And then in 2 years' time, we're getting a new fucking Superman anyways. So why does it
Yeah,
matter?
it was
I think
like,
it would have been
like
okay. You know,
it was
it
a
would have
hat
been.
tip, basically.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah,
all it
that's
really
all it
was.
was.
That's
An
all it
Yeah, like a
was.
final farewell. I feel like that
Yeah.
would have been
Yeah.
a nice bow
it
to
would have
tie
made
on.
more.
That's
It
just
would have
me
made more
personally. That's
sense.
griped me for a while.
Sure, that's
They
fair.
did an older Superman the right way in Crisis when they had Brandon Routh play Superman Kingdom Come.
Yeah, the
And
Alex
that's what
Ross
they
Superman.
Yeah,
He's
that's
also
what they could
wait.
have
He's also
done.
supposed to be Christopher
He's the
Reeve
same
Superman,
Yeah,
isn't he?
it's the same Superman.
Yeah, it's technically.
They could have
yes?
done. They could have just
Yeah, I think
taken
so.
Tom. It's the same. Yeah, it's the same time, same continuity. So technically, whatever
Yeah,
happened
yeah.
after 2, no, I guess they don't count 4
Because he's still
Quest for
Christopher Reeve
Peace.
Superman in
Yeah,
Superman
they don't count.
Returns.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
they don't count Quest for Peace, which nobody counts Quest,
No
Quest for Peace.
no one counts. Is that the Richard
I don't even
Pryor
know what
one?
that is.
Is that Quest for Peace?
Yeah, I think that's the original,
Yeah,
or it's either
yeah.
the fourth or the
That
third
one.
one.
It's like the fourth
but
one,
yeah.
I
It's
think.
the fourth
But
one.
yeah, they could have taken Tom Welling and let him have a shot at being Superman from Kingdom Come Superman. He's old enough.
Mhm.
He's got gray hair. Brandon Routh, bring Brandon Routh back. Let him be the current Superman if you want to. I don't know. He's still got blackish hair.
If the
Yeah.
CGI cameos in this movie made you uneasy, do you think the opening credits for Secret
Let's
Invasion
go.
made anybody uneasy?
Yes.
If you didn't know, now spoilers, obviously. Secret Invasion came out a couple days ago. By the time you're hearing
It did.
this,
Nice.
Yeah.
no spoilers yet. But the only spoiler is the opening credits of Secret Invasion, at least episode 1, is AI generated by Midjourney, and I don't have the actual tweet explanation, whatever the director said. But basically, pull that up. Basically, he said the reason we did this is it ties into the thematical elements of Secret Invasion, where you don't know who to trust, and some things are taking over other things, and you don't. It's one of those like those corporate speech answers where you go like,
It's bullshit.
the Mad Lib. I'm sorry that I, Andrew, fell on your daughter, Tammy. It's like what do
With
you
my
say?
pants
You know what I'm
off.
saying?
Yeah, it's like it's the same excuse Andy Muschietti used whenever he was defending the Flash's
the
dog shit.
CGI cameo.
He's like, well, it's because
yeah.
in we're looking at it through Barry's eyes and the world's distorted.
Yeah.
Shut up!
Yeah.
It's y'all don't pay your visual effects artists. They're overworked.
Yes.
It's terrible. Like that's
At the
what
end
it
of
is.
the day,
I think them saying that they did not have to use AI Midjourney to show the thematic resonance of the show to the audience, and that depicts the kind of the untrustworthiness of the world around you.
It was
and feeling
once you read it, it's like, oh, it's just hot air in like 6 sentences.
It's
where
like
you're
exactly.
You're not saying
It's like a
word
oh,
salad.
we got
That's what
caught,
it
so
is.
here let's put out a narrative that saves us from getting cooked up.
Because the first thing I thought about. Go ahead.
I was just saying because I saw that intro. Like, first of all, the opening scene, no spoilers, but the opening scene was like, we are back at Captain America, the Winter Soldier, espionage. Who do you trust? Then the scene played out. We got the cut right into the title sequence. I was like, you lost me. You've lost me. This is horrible. What are you doing?
The first thing that went through my mind
I had to physically move away from the screen to not see it.
What went through your head, David?
The first thing that went through my mind, because legitimately, I played it twice just to make sure I wasn't tripping. Because I saw the first one, I was like, wait. I was like, wait. No. I was like, hold on a second. Hold on. So I literally replayed it, and I was like, this is Midjourney. This is
it looks
what
just like
if Wes Anderson did insert here. And I was like, yo, they actually, like, who made this decision? Because the first thing in my mind is that I'm thinking about Daredevil, Jessica Jones,
yes,
Breaking Bad, Invincible. I'm
Moon
thinking
Knight.
about all of these shows, Moon Knight, that have these opening credits or even end credits, like the Mandalorian, She-Hulk, that all have these like specifically really good designed by real artists, that these credits both on the end and the front tie into the actual show and the themes and all that stuff. And like, what would those shows be like if they looked like that? You know what I'm saying? It just made me feel like, ugh. And it sucks too because the episode is great. Like the first episode's fantastic.
Agreed.
It just leaves like a sour
Taste
you
in your
ain't
mouth.
really have to do that.
Yeah,
bro.
Like,
listen,
why?
but I mean, it was only a matter of time, dude. Chat GPT's popping off.
I know.
The studios are refusing to adhere to the writers and like proposed new deal for the WGA, where they're like, please guarantee us
SAG is about to strike.
Please guarantee us that AI will not take over, that you guys will not use that to write scripts without accrediting us. And they're like, but we don't want to see that point because
we don't want to give up money.
Yeah, it might benefit us in the future. And so, of course, it's like, of course, Marvel, of course, Disney was the first fucking company to use. I mean, they've used it in visual effects and they use it to like de-age people all the time. So, I mean, AI does have a place in like filmmaking and in creative processes when it comes to making movies and stuff. But of course, they would be the first company to up and
the
replace
train that does not stop.
Exactly. Of course, it would be the first company to up and replace artists for the sake of AI. And it's just it's really shitty, and it leaves such a, like you said, such a sour taste in your mouth, and it's like
Now they could do the right thing and completely fix it.
Absolutely.
And even and here's the thing: even if they were to do even if it was up to me, just do a handwritten "We screwed up. Sorry. Here's the Secret Invasion intro."
Yeah.
You play the music, just put that card in front.
iPhone notes, notes app.
And
apology.
you know what? The amount of goodwill that you would get for just doing something as simple as that, I don't think they're going to do it. But I think it'd be funny if they were like,
and you know what's worse?
Tape it to the camera.
If Secret Invasion is good, they're going to write on that shit.
That's the
and
problem.
They're going to be like, we're not going to change this shit. And you guys are going to watch the fuck out of this show, and y'all are going to enjoy it. So suck
That's
my
issue.
AI Agatha's coming.
That is the issue, because the show is actually good.
Yeah, let's get to the show.
It's actually good, and
the
first episode, solid. It's a great start to this 6-episode event. The problem is that everyone's so focused on the AI thing, we've kind of forgotten how good how the potential that this show has.
I think you can like the episode.
We talked about
just like the AI.
Oh yeah, you can definitely have both. Both things can coexist. The problem is people, at least those chronically online people that we see every day.
Exactly.
they can't think their way out of a shoebox. They're like, oh my gosh, AI bad. That's great. AI is bad. We agree. I'm here. Computers, AI, when you take over the world, do not kill me. I'm just quoting people. I'm paraphrasing. But yeah, they're all like, the AI is bad.
There are real people in the scene that are acting like
exactly.
Samuel Jackson and Ben Mendelsohn together are all. It's so great to see them together again.
That they're gonna what's it called, boycott Secret Invasion. I'm like, because of this 1-minute intro, you're gonna boycott this whole 54 minutes worth of good show, like you just said. Sam and Ben are killing it. I like their dynamic. It's giving me buddy cop.
Kingsley Ben-Adir said 7 words this episode.
The greatest performance.
I need him dead now. He's that good. I need him dead.
That motherfucker stood there amongst the rubble and destruction, and I said,
and then
go. Yeah, I say he's him.
This a bad.
He's a bad motherfucker. He's a bad dude.
Bro did this. Bro said,
yeah,
and I was like,
no facial expression.
Said, oh my god, this guy.
He walked back into the smoke and turned away, and I was like,
the performances are good. The music's really good.
The writing is good, I think.
Oh gosh, what's her name?
Emilia
Game of Thrones.
Clarke?
Yeah, Amelia's really good.
Olivia Colman, 2-time Oscar winner.
Oh my gosh,
Olivia Colman,
I love seeing
one-time
Olivia
Oscar winner. My bad, one-time Oscar winner.
Luis and everybody else and I were all talking about this, but Luis had mentioned her, and like it triggered the thought. Her name is Fallsworth. Slight spoiler for everyone. By the time you see this, you better have seen the episode. But slight spoiler. Her name is Sonya Fallsworth. Remember the British dude who was part of the Howling Commandos in Captain America: the First Avenger? James Montgomery Falsworth, aka
Yes.
Union Jack in the comics.
Union Jack. Yeah.
Does this mean we're getting Union Jack at some point?
No.
Are we going to get a British Captain America?
No.
Are they bringing Henry
You know what
Cavill
we're gonna get?
into the MCU?
We're
gonna get a picture of Union Jack on
She could be like,
Sonya's.
my great grandfather.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Fought with Steve Rogers back in
You've
World War
already
II.
got Steve. You got Steve. You got Sam. You got Isaiah.
My favorite
and then you've got
throwaway
US Agent. That's already 4 caps, dude. We don't need.
And
more.
then we're gonna get
throwaway what?
Captain Britain. We're gonna get Captain Britain.
Yeah, my favorite throwaway
please,
line
God,
was what did he say? Midlife crisis. I bought the Avengers. I was like, that was great. That was such a Nick Fury like line.
Bro said, "Call a brother." I was like, "This is great."
Yeah, he said, "Call a brother." I said,
whoever wrote this,
thank
you.
Those two together are just like him and Ben Mendelsohn are just like.
I think they're letting them cook. I think Sam was like, y'all gotta let me like do me. And
Action.
obviously
And
he's toning it down, of course, because we know how Sam can get. But I think a lot of it is they're just like, Sam, do your thing, man. And Ben is such a great actor that he's like, dude, I got you. Let's go.
Ben was on the red carpet for this show before you go. Ben was on the red carpet and someone was interviewing him and they had like the rebel like pin from Star Wars and Ben is talking and he looks at it and he just starts shaking his head and looks at it and he slips back into his Krennic character from like Rogue One and he like in the middle of the interview, why do you have that on your chest? Like he like switches back and he talks about how much fun he had like in that role. And it just makes me go like Ben, that boy, man,
loves what he does.
He just loves what he doesn't matter if it's like, oh, this is massive content IP. He's acting as if it's like Shakespeare. Like he's going all in for his specific role, whatever it is. And so then it forces everybody else to elevate their game. So like Kingsley Ben-Adir is already a good actor. I'm almost gonna say Targaryen. Emilia Clarke's already a good actor.
Olivia Colman is a fantastic actress.
They're all good actors. Everett Ross.
Martin Freeman. I almost said Matthew Freeman.
They're all great actors. But when he's there, they gotta like, all right, we gotta bring it. We gotta actually bring it. And that's why it makes the show better. You need somebody
we talk about all the time, guys. Just cast good people, bro. Put good people in shit written by good people, directed by people who are good at what they do. And that's
what I will say. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say you were talking about characters and actors. You want to hear something I thought was pretty cool, pretty funny?
What?
The guy who plays what's it called, Pagon. The guy was basically like instructing
Emilia
Emilia what to do. His name is actually Cillian Murphy. And I was like, wait a minute. He goes professionally he's known as Killian Scott. But I was like, Cillian Murphy's in this. No way. And I looked at it, I was like, but I didn't see him in
That would have been a great surprise if he shows up randomly.
Yeah, if Thomas Shelby, Peaky Blinders.
No fighting.
No fighting.
What I really like about this, I'm a Winter Soldier detractor. I know, fucking kill me. But what I like,
listen, everybody's got opinions.
That's not to say it's a bad movie. It's just I think it's overhyped. But what I really like about this first episode of this show is that it wastes no time and it puts you straight into the action. Boom. Because what another version of the show would be this shit's a slow burn. And we take the entire first episode to get into the intrigue and Nick Fury's trying to figure out what's going on, and we don't meet Gaia till like the very end, and we don't even know that her and Talos have a relationship, so it's like they went straight off the bat, boom, throw you straight into the action. We hit the ground running, and they're building towards obviously the climax.
Very well paced.
It's very well paced. 1 hour that went by like that.
Yeah. And I'll say one of the bigger parts for me where this entire show, I'm saying entire as if there's more than one episode, but where this entire episode
so far,
where it shines the most for me so far has been the dialogue, because it's not short, snap, quippy, just over the top nonsense. It feels like what happens when Tom Taylor writes a comic. It is natural dialogue that seems like it's spoken by actual human fucking beings and not human adults who are acting like fucking teenagers. half the time.
Yeah.
And I feel like the best dialogue in this, when characters are playing off each other, like my favorite scene in this is when Samuel L. Jackson does what I feel like is his best reiteration of his character from Pulp Fiction. When he's sitting down,
in that room,
dude,
yeah, absolutely.
he's
Ezekiel.
when he's sitting down with the weapons manufacturer, and he's sitting there, and he's like, "Now I'm going to ask you again. I'm gonna ask you again. I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions."
Everyone gets one lie. Everyone gets one lie.
He's like, everybody gets one lie, and then when the dude like is clearly lying, right? When Ben Mendelsohn's character fact checks, he's like, actually his wife is his ex and lives in Florida, so there's no one he has to see. And he's like, wow, look at that. That looks like one lie. It had the same like tone and vibe to me
Ezekiel.
as when he goes up, as when he's talking to that dude he's interrogating in Pulp Fiction, and he's like, is Marcellus Wallace a bitch? No? Then why are you trying to fuck him like one? That same energy as that scene, and I was like, dude,
that's what Samuel L. Jackson does, though.
Yeah,
exactly. And I hadn't
that's
seen
Jules,
a performance like a recent one from him in so long, outside of him being Nick Fury, right? So I'd forgotten that's Samuel L. fucking Jackson.
That is one of the GOAT.
And then when I saw this, it was like I was seeing an old friend, and we just clicked again. I was like, bro, this man has not missed a beat. He's still on it. He's still got
question.
What's up?
Before I ask a question, if you haven't seen Ptolemy Gray on Apple TV, I highly suggest you watch that, because it's Samuel L. Jackson as the main character with Dominique Fishback. And Dominique Fishback takes care of him, and he's an old man who's starting to get dementia and starting to lose his mind. And it's one of those, like, it's really good, but it also hurts because you're watching like Samuel L. Jackson, almost like Patrick Stewart, like get old, and you're like, I don't want to see that. Like I don't. I just need to see him like young
separation.
What you just said is the first thing I thought of when I saw him step out and his beard was all gray. I was like, my OG is getting old, bro.
If you want that feeling, watch Ptolemy Gray, because it's good, but it is a lot of emotional, like, dang.
It's so funny you say that, because Olivia Colman was in a movie with Anthony Hopkins a couple years ago called The Father.
The Father,
in which Anthony Hopkins lost, he won an Oscar, but he plays her father who has dementia, and she lives with him or like takes care of him. But as she slowly starts seeing her father's condition deteriorate, and so Olivia Colman is also in this show, and I just thought that was a neat little connection. What was the question you were going to ask, David?
Spoiler alert, just so everybody knows. Do we think Maria Hill was a Skrull? Do we think she's dead?
Yes.
Period?
No, she was a Skrull.
She was a Skrull.
She was a Skrull. Yes. Bro, it's called the Smothers, bro.
Okay.
She was
you think
a Skrull,
she's dead,
100%.
AZ?
No, I think she's a Skrull. Yeah, I think she's dead. She's a Skrull, but she's dead. Meaning the Skrull is dead.
But wait, would she have we didn't see her transform, though.
We didn't see it.
That's the thing.
We didn't
exactly.
see it.
And the way that you know, right? A lot of people are gonna probably have like a whole death fake out, right? The main critique of the original Secret Invasion comic is that they just imprison all the superheroes. They don't kill them when they replace them, right? And I thought that the show was going to, take that aspect and be like, no, they just fucking boom them. Like, that's it. There's nothing they can do, right? But then you go to, like, the Skrull... What do they fucking call it? Skrullos?
New Skrullos.
Or some shit?
New Skrullos.
Skrullos. We in there.
They go to downtown
Skrull
Manhattan's
gang.
New Skrullos City, or whatever the fuck it's called.
Shout out all my Skrulls.
And they go there, and you see, like, when they're doing the
transfer,
form taking,
all that stuff,
the mind flayer.
Right? They have when they're flaying the minds of all these people,
the Andor
they have
mind
them strapped
flayer.
into these stasis stretchers. So all those people are there and 100% alive. So if they're gonna just save all the people and be like, oh yeah, the Skrulls didn't actually kill anybody, some of these Skrulls can be redeemed or some shit. I am so fucking certain that Maria's going to be somewhere in that warehouse.
Well, how funny would it be if at the beginning of the second episode, it opens up on Nick holding Maria Hill and he sees her transform and she's been a Skrull this entire time.
If it does,
that's exactly what's gonna happen.
Or that was legit her, and it was like that's because again, the unfortunate thing is if that's actually her,
She thought
it
he killed her.
Yeah, it's the Logan situation, which hurts like a mug. The Logan one hurt me so much because it
With
was
X-24.
Yeah, because he was like, it was, or Hugh Jackman was like, it wasn't me. I promise you, it wasn't me. All that, like, so maybe this is the wake up call that Nick Fury really needs.
He's like, this shit is serious.
Like she said, like her and Olivia. Olivia said it at her thing. It was like, yo, you been out the game. You old, you tripping.
You've
and
been
then
in
Maria
space.
Hill, exactly. You've been in space. You've been hanging with Saber. And then when Maria Hill had that conversation then with the chess board, it was like, listen, we don't lie during our chess games. That you already tripping. I didn't call you. Talos did. If it was up to me, I wouldn't have rang your phone. It's not up to me.
The Nick Fury I know is 3 steps ahead, and you don't even know what's going on.
Which is it's very similar to Logan. It's like within the first 30 minutes, you get through dialogue and through the character, you understand. All right, this is.
You understand Nick. You understand Nick Fury's arc. You know what's going to happen.
Yeah, he's past his prime. He's hobbling. He's older. It's like that's one of my favorite shots. I always go back to Logan when stuff like this is that in the first 10 minutes of Logan, he has to pull one of his blades out because it doesn't go the whole way, and it was like within 30 seconds. Dang, like the tone is set.
You need a blue pill for them.
You understand where we're at. You understand where we're at.
He's on top of the sink and he's like pushing the bullets out of his body in like the sink in the beginning of that movie. It's like we haven't said anything, but we know through that like this is not what it used to be. And so the same thing for Nick Fury is like he drops down from the ship, he's hobbling, he's got the old gray beard. Everybody's saying we don't really need you like that.
Yeah,
fam.
that's why I think it's such a good first episode because it establishes where it's like at the end of the episode we understand Nick Fury's thought process and he's like and we understand what his arc is gonna go, right? We get that he has lost everything, right? He's lost one of his closest friends. He the stakes are set, right? Russia's gonna go to war with the US. Thus leading to the eradication of the entire human race, and the Skrulls are going to take over. And thus,
I do like the Skrull stuff because it's always comic wise, the Skrulls are evil. But I like how what they've done in the MCU is add nuance. Be like, well, half of them just want to go home. A quarter of them don't have a home to go to,
and some of them feel betrayed. Hence, why they're doing this horrendous shit.
I feel betrayed, and this is going to be my home now. So now there's no Skrulls are evil. Now it's like, well, hold on.
It's like you could think about it as an allegory.
It's an allegory. 100%.
It's an allegory for immigration and refugees. And
don't pull that trigger, officer.
Exactly.
Hold on now. That's basically what it
feeling
is.
abandoned by your savior in an unknown land that was not yours, that you now have to call home. But then you get treated as a villain. Even though you didn't choose to be here and you were abandoned,
Talos got kicked off the council because they're like, "Listen, bro, you're not doing anything for us. We've been here for years."
It works. It's got a lot of layers. It's so good. It's so good.
I love it.
They managed to do so well in taking because originally in the comics, the Skrulls planet is destroyed by Galactus, and when it's incinerated,
there's so much extra in the comic stuff,
there's the Queen of Skrullos, right? Which basically radicalizes all the other Skrulls and is like, hey, you know what's a pretty cool planet? Earth. You want to go fuck with them? Because we can just go take that. They're not even doing anything with it. We can just take it. Right?
My question to every alien. Go ahead. Finish your thought, because mine might turn into a long thing.
and they're like, directly evil. Like they're the bad guy, and that works in the sense of a comic. But in the MCU, where all the villains, have nuance and reasons for motivations, if you just had a straight evil 1-to-1, the Skrulls are evil, and you don't explain it at all, it wouldn't make any sense because that would undo all the work from the film Captain Marvel. So by doing this, right, where they take that aspect of the comics of the Skrulls having their homeworld destroyed, them feeling betrayed by the people in power that didn't listen to them when they said that their planet was in danger from Galactus, and how they got taken advantage of by someone who's in a higher position and who radicalized them to make them, the evil versions are all now, where they're willing to die for what they say is the future of their people. They transferred that so well. And that is where I feel like we're entering an era where like the MCU is getting more and more competent with adapting their comic book stories and taking certain aspects and converting them. I thought
Just
that was
don't
really
bring
well
Paul
done. And that's
over.
all
You
just
don't
in the
need
first
Paul.
episode.
Yeah, please, no Paul.
Yeah, don't know Paul. No Paul.
Speaking of translating the comics to live action, whenever Civil War came out in 2016, my immediate thought was that Secret Invasion would be like the next big project because
Yeah, 'cause
comics
that's,
timeline wise,
yeah.
it follows
Yeah.
right after Civil War.
Yeah,
with
I remember that.
Varanki impersonating Spider-Woman and all that starting off.
Yeah,
I was like, man, we're gonna see
yeah.
Civil War, then we're gonna see Secret Invasion. Obviously, I was wrong one of the few times. So I was like, all right, cool. And then whenever they announced Secret Invasion, I was like, oh yeah, it's time. I was trying to figure out how we're gonna make this play out because the Kree skull thing. The Kree,
Yeah, the Kree and the
Kree skull
like
thing
it.
was already played out in Captain Marvel, which takes place in the 90s.
And
We're now in
Guardians.
20
Is
and
that
Guardians
there's
a
some
little
Kree
bit
stuff
too.
in there
Ronan,
too.
because Ronan, the accuser's Kree.
Kree,
Ronan
yep.
was over there. He was beefing with everyone. He was accusing everyone until he lost the dance
This
battle.
ass, boy.
He lost that dance battle. So like I was just thinking like, man, this is either immediately post blip or like years post blip. It's one of the two. It can't be. It's going to be like directly after, and this is a good time for the Skrulls to take the places of people who were blipped out and blah blah blah, and just kind of play off that. Or this is past that.
It's past the
Skrulls are
blip
kinda
because
It's
Nick
past
was
it.
blipped. He was blipped.
Yeah, I'm saying
remember? It was
like
Oh, you
immediate
were
post
saying
immediate
after.
like
Yeah,
immediately after blip, like right, like let's say
Yeah.
the events of Endgame have finished up, everyone's rebuilding the Earth, and they're like, oh yeah, welcome back. Sorry, you've been gone 5 years. You lost your job, and everybody died. But hey, welcome back.
Yep.
And the Skrulls, like, okay, Bob Smith got blipped out. He turned into dust and came back, and there's another Bob Smith that looks exactly like him. He's like,
Yeah.
But that's what's good
what
about
they're definitely gonna. They're definitely gonna get into that, as in like those 5 years, because it was half the life in the universe, correct?
mm-hmm.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
half the life in the universe. So half meaning half Skrulls and everything too. So they're probably going to get into. Well, listen, Skrulls took refuge because they ain't have nowhere else to go. Half their people died, disappeared, whatever. They decided, you know what? We got some empty spaces here on Earth when we when we take the lives of people. But then you got to it's going to be weird when people come back, and then the Skrulls are like, we're going to have to incapacitate them somehow because you can't replicate unless you touch them, unless you physically touch them.
Right?
Yeah. Well, no. That's right. You can copy them.
You
if
can
you
copy,
look at
but
them,
if you want
but
the
you
memories,
can't, yeah. So they
You
could
gotta-
have
You have to merge them,
I'm
yeah.
living in this house. Here's a picture of this man's wife. Boom, I'm her. You know what I'm saying? And then when they actually show up, and then it's like, whoa, they do the Spider-Man meme where they point, you're like, yo.
Which
So I
they've
think
done
we're
in
gonna get to
both
that.
Spider-Verse movies, so they better not do in the third one because that's too much.
Miguel's gonna do it though. It's gonna be 2 different Miguels. That's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
gonna be
Instead
like,
of
"You."
With their penises.
What?
Anyway, what I was gonna say about your point, Matthew, was that that's a good thing about this story and kind of keeping it kind of disconnected from the multiverse saga and everything going on with the MCU at large is the fact that it can take place whenever, within the last 5 years of the MCU timeline. Is that it doesn't matter when it's happening because it's so disconnected from the multiverse aspect of the storytelling. Is that it's its own self-contained story in a sense. It's based on Earth. It's kind of basically just Nick. There might not be any superpowered beings at all really involved other than the Skrulls. And so I think it being its own self-contained story kind of it allows it to a lot more freedom in that sense.
And that's one thing we brought up over the course of our Marvel coverage. Like, we need more non-multiverse stories to kind of separate from that. Yes, the multiverse is going to play a big part in the next 2-3 phases, etc. But like, we need different. Like Spider-Man, I always say Spider-Man should have remained a ground level fighting crime in New York City before touching any type of
Queens.
any type of
Yeah,
team
we'll
up
probably
films
get
with
that
the
in the newer
Avengers.
trilogies that are coming out.
Yeah, because now he's gonna be poor and no one knows who he is. He's gonna be just like us,
Yeah.
college kid type
Damn.
B.
College kid
People
type
know who we are.
shit.
People
type
know who we
shit.
are. We're notorious. We're infamous.
We're blowing
But
up.
my last like major point or critique for Secret Invasion is just the fact that they literally came out and said that Kevin Feige told the directors and whatnot, the creatives on there, not to read the comic. That raises a red flag for me.
Yeah.
Because James Gunn was big on adapting and talking and using the source material, promoting said source material. Those comics sold out in stores. I could not find a single Grant Morrison anywhere.
It's a little different.
is
It's a little
good
different.
sometimes. I think distance can bring
To
you
an
closer to
extent.
the actual text. But I think it's good in that sometimes when you read the source material, you get too tied up on how it looks, how it
Correct.
feels, how it reads, how it plays out. And this is an adaptation at the end of the day, right? The story is essentially the same. The characters are kind of the same, but you want the creatives to have the freedom and not be like feel forced to have to not be able to make decisions that might help the storytelling.
Exactly.
In the end. Right? It's only only 6 episodes. You're not going to have the time to develop. Like you don't have the same time as you would an entire comic run, right? So changes are going to have to be made. Decisions are going to have to be made. What are you cutting? What are you adding? What characters are you introducing? So I think him being like, don't read the comics. Here are the scripts, right?
Yeah.
This is the vibe we're going for. Just go direct, do your thing, and it'll all play out. So I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing in that sense.
Yeah. I view it kind of the same way, not necessarily in a positive or negative aspect, kind of just a middle ground, like a double-edged sword, right? Because on one end of the spectrum, right, you have let's say they read the comic, right, and they tried to adapt it in that manner or take bits and pieces from it in order to adapt the story. Even if they try to put as much of their own creative vision in it as possible, right? At the end of the day, if you know the source material and you know the comic and they're following it pretty one-to-one, you're going to know how the show ends. So they'll have to do one of two things. They'll either have to ham-fist a twist in there that is just arbitrary and really doesn't flow well with the narrative they've established, or they'll just have to keep everybody as, sedated as possible and just follow the comic one-to-one. And then the opposite end of that sword is they don't follow it, right? And then one of two things happens, right? They either don't follow it, right? And they do something completely different, completely original, right? And it's just based around the concept of that story, but doesn't have any of the story beats, nothing, because they're going completely blind. And it's accessible enough to where people who know the source material can appreciate it for what it is and look at it as an entirely new thing. And it's more accessible to other audiences. Or it somehow
AKA
pulls a
Civil War.
WandaVision.
That's what they did with Civil War. Sure, you have the Sokovia Accords, but it the Bucky thing, all of that was like,
it's not what it was.
Spend
All of
time
that
with these characters in movies.
Exactly.
Let's add it in here, and it works.
Exactly. And then with this, they could also go the end of where it just pulls a WandaVision, and at the very end just becomes a giant CGI fight of nothing, and it's incoherent, and people don't like it. But I feel like with this first episode alone, with this first episode alone, they've really hit the ground running and have established that this is the concept of Secret Invasion, to where you have the Skrulls impersonating humans and wanting to take over the Earth for themselves because they lost their planet. But it is different enough in multiple aspects to where it's not just the source material, and I can do the Leonardo DiCaprio thing from Once Upon a Time. Like, that's the thing. That's the thing I recognize. I know what that is. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. I can just appreciate this as an entirely new thing, and I'm going in as blind as anybody else who is just not even a comic book fan. And I love that aspect. I think it's fantastic. But this
Also,
is
you got to remember, James Gunn is in charge of starting something fresh. And so you have to start with a new standard in mind for people. So the first thing you want to do in that case is like, listen, what about Man of Steel? Listen, we're starting fresh. Here's where the inspiration is coming from. Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, read Woman of Tomorrow, read Morrison's Brave and the Bold. You read Morrison's Superman, All-Star Superman. Here's where the foundation is moving forward.
Swamp Thing,
and I think that's why
books 1 through 6.
Yeah, it's different there because it's like you also have to cut ties with 15 movies that came out that don't really connect well. So it's kind of like, just so you know, so you're tuned in, this is not the same DC. This is not Henry Cavill Superman. This is not. We're starting here with 1, 2, 3, 4, and it gives, it starts you out in the right. Well, okay, let me go read it, because that's what we want, is people to go read the comics, which is why Woman of Tomorrow sold out. That's it's amazing to hear. Fantastic.
I got
That's
it.
a great story.
I have it in my library.
It's a great story. Absolutely.
It's really good.
But again, Secret Invasion is lit so far. That's all I got. I've seen the second episode. It's very good.
Oh
yes.
Let's go.
They only did two. They only did two. Yeah, for the press thing, because of the nature of the show, they're only going to give you two.
That means episode 3 is fire.
Exactly. That's what it means.
Shit about to pop off.
Two is just as good. There's more peel the curtain back and well, why do you act like that? There's more a little bit of that in the second one. What do you mean by that? There's more of that in episode 2, but both of them, because I saw both together, are like heat.
That's
it's just
movie.
yeah.
Oof. Well, it sounds like
speaking of the
one hell of a show.
Speaking of the future of Secret Invasion, it's kind of our last point for the episode. The future of Secret Invasion. One thing I want to bring up: Pagon is he is a Super Skrull in the comics, Super Skrull. But I'm thinking about who is the Super Skrull that I'm hoping we get to see in this show. My first suspicions were Gravik, because in the trailers they showed. I'm gonna try and see if I can share the screen. I hope it doesn't destroy our film quality.
After Maria Hill dropped, I had a crazy thought that was Talos's wife, and he was lying to his daughter that she was actually alive.
Oh shit!
It popped in my head. I was like,
that's
"What
a
if?"
good idea.
You know what I'm saying? I don't think it is, but literally for half a second, I was like,
"That she did
impersonate
Maria in the
in Far From Home."
She sure did.
Did she?
Yeah,
she did.
Yeah.
Both
Gravik is a Super Skrull for sure.
You see Gravik's power right here.
Yeah, he's
you
big
see him
boy.
using that extension. Yeah. So I was thinking, maybe Gravik is what is the
Go Gadget
Extendo R. Yeah. He's Mr. Fantastic. I was like, okay, I see what they're doing here. He actually is the Embiggen instead of Hard Light. He actually is the Super Skrull, and Pagon is going to show up. His Super Skrull powers will show up somewhere in episode 3, 4, or whatever. But I was thinking what are they going to do with this? What can they do with this? Just from if we're going on the route of, hey, suspend your
disbelief.
your knowledge of the comic, wanting it to be bar for bar with the Secret Invasion comic. There's a lot of possibilities. Like we said, the tagline is "Who do you trust?" That's the tagline of the comics too. So they can go many ways with this. Rhodey.
Something's going on with Rhodey too.
Rhodey and the
president, and that whole situation of
the
because
president
keep an eye on, keep an eye on.
Too.
I don't that's what I'm saying. I was like,
I don't
president,
fuck with the president,
Rhodey, or just that whole section of keep an eye on them.
Yeah, that was it was very intentional.
And then they said, I think they mentioned something about the Skrulls have already infiltrated and replaced world leaders or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Something to that effect. They've
because
mimicked or whatever.
This technically,
the president is a Skrull, bro.
This technically leads, if
my
I remember
mind
correctly,
right now.
This leads into Armor Wars,
which will lead into
Rhodey's
movie
project,
Captain America.
Brave New World.
Now.
Brave New World.
It was going to be New World. I was about to say it's now Brave New World.
Come down with your anti-Semitic conspiracy theories.
I think it's a Secret Invasion, Armor Wars,
Brave New World.
Brave New World is going to be some through line to get. I'm seeing the bricks
And
being laid
Rhodey,
right now.
Rhodey's scroll
Hulk-
is the
the
through line.
Hulk.
You
The
think
Hulk
so?
rights have come back to Marvel, so you know what time it is.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
You
It's
know what
World War
time
Hulk
it
time.
is.
It's
So we're
World
gonna
War
get.
Hulk
I
time.
think
Yeah.
everything's gonna kind of go. We're gonna see Hulkling in the future. The Skrull
Yeah, that's
team
gonna
going
happen.
on. Like this is insane.
Yeah, what
Agatha's
if
coming
what
up.
if what
like
if at the end of this what if at the end of this, right? I don't know how they would really
Hulkling?
work it
I
into
forget
like
who
other
Hulkling's
films.
related to. Or
Actually, no, wait. This
Hulkling's
could
a
actually
Skrull,
work.
right?
Okay. So
yeah.
you know how
he's Billy's boyfriend.
But who is he
Oh, yeah,
related
in
to?
the
Like
comics.
who is
Oh,
his
he's a scroll prince.
yes.
He's not actually
Okay.
Who's
like
his
a Hulk
dad?
at all.
Who's his dad?
Okay. Who's his dad? Is it
The
anybody
king
important?
of Skrulls. I don't fucking know. He's just the
No, I'm
prince.
saying,
He's
is
who's
it
his
somebody?
Is it
dad?
somebody
like,
that
we
we've
should-
been introduced to?
Should we know his name, or
Oh,
is
then
it
no.
like his dad has been killed by Garrick or something, and he is the
If I
rightful
remember
heir, but
correctly,
Garrick is trying to kill
he's
him,
the
and yada
the
yada.
rightful heir, but he's on the run.
Okay.
Essentially,
Okay.
like he fled
I mean,
to
He's
Earth
Captain.
for
there's
amnesty.
some-
He's Captain.
something going
He's
on there.
Captain Marvel and Princess Annelle.
He was
in the
raised by a single
comics.
mother.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's
So
part Kree,
he
part
had two.
Skrull.
He had two choices: go to the NFL or become a superhero, and he chose superhero.
But
For real?
I had a thought based off of what David said about how there's like a through line from this to the new Captain America
Mhm.
film. So what if somehow, some way, the Skrulls win at the end? They
Mhm.
win in a
I was
sense.
just
Brave-
thinking this.
the Brave New World.
And here's where the gears started turning.
Uh-huh.
Right? I thought about this, right? They announced the villain for Captain America 4, and it's supposed to be the Serpent Society,
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
are Z-listers at fucking best.
The Serpent
Yeah.
Society.
You cannot make an entire
The
movie
Serpent
with the
Society.
goddamn Serpent Society. Their whole thing
But also,
is just dressing
Harrison
up as
Ford's-
reptiles and going.
Harrison
Harrison
Ford
Ford
is
is
in it.
Thaddeus Ross, so
Exactly.
that he's
Yeah.
gonna, you know,
Red
Exactly.
Hulk.
That's
And we got
cool,
bootleg
but
Hydra.
that's not an antagonist. You feel
Yeah.
me? That's
or
not
at least
a
Captain,
real.
or at least Captain
Mhm.
America's
You got
antagonist.
Kingpin.
threat.
You got Kingpin.
Vanessa.
I guess
That's more for
but
Spider-Man and
once again,
Daredevil.
Fat nigga in a suit. That's it.
Yo, put some respect
All right.
on
No
Vincent
disrespect to
D'Onofrio.
Vincent.
All right,
Fuck
I'm gonna
Vincent
call
No
him.
disrespect to
D'Onofrio.
I'm
Vincent.
gonna call him right
But-
now and
but-
be like, "Yo, he's talking trash about you."
Please
Do
don't.
it.
He'll beat me up.
Right
He's
now.
6'5".
Right now.
He's gonna slam your head in the car door like he did Mr. Wesley.
Tell him he ain't Michael
Turn
Clark
that boy's
Duncan.
head into watermelon, bro.
He ain't he ain't Michael
But-
Clark
Bro,
Duncan.
turn him into a ninja blender and
But this is my theory, right? At the end of this, right, the Skrulls are going to win, and you might be
Okay.
thinking, "Wait a minute, AZ, that doesn't make any sense because
No,
if
it
the
does.
Skrulls win, how does
Thanos
Captain
won.
Marvel 2 happen?" Here's what I'm thinking, right?
that boy about to.
Captain Marvel 2, you see they're up in space.
The Marvels, yeah,
Focusing
yeah. Talk
heavily
about it.
on the
Talk
space
about it.
Going on.
aspect, right?
Mhm.
Saber.
So think about this. Why would they be focused on Saber? Why would they be focused on that space station and monitoring major interstellar threats?
No Nick
Why?
Fury.
Why? Well, Nick Fury is in the Marvels trailer. He is in there.
He's in that
Okay.
movie.
But
No,
But
a
here's
Nick
my-
Fury is there.
Hey,
Nick
It's not
Fury.
the Nick Fury.
Mm, but then
Oh,
this adds to the
Damn,
theory. This
bro.
adds to the theory.
What?
I
That's
see
why
we're on the
Secret
same
Invasion,
line.
like
Here's-
the Secret Invasion comic was good at doing that. Of
I
like,
know.
I
And
don't
you were like,
know, I don't
who is
know.
it? Oh, ooh.
But here's what I'm thinking, right? They're focused on space, monitoring threats because there's possibly more Skrulls and more of an armada coming to Earth to finalize the process of the invasion, right? So what I'm thinking is there's bleed over from this following the Skrulls actually like having their Empire Strikes Back moment where they're fucking shit up in the Marvels, right? And that's why they're heavily monitoring space. And then you get into Captain America Brave New World, right? Where what would be the most absolutely upside down batshit thing for them to have to encounter? Not a bunch of niggas wearing fucking reptile onesies and calling themselves the Serpent Society, right? That would have no fucking bearing. There's no weight you
I
can really
think-
do to that because
I think
they
what
suck,
they're gonna do
right?
with the Serpent
So
Society.
they're gonna actually have. Oh, what's up?
I was just saying, I think what they're gonna do with the Serpent Society. You know how they're like the whole secret what's it called? Secret organization running things behind the scenes. How Hydra infiltrated with Project Paperclip. That's just gonna be a rehash of this is now a behind the scenes snake organization, kind of feeding off the "who can you trust" thing. They'll be like,
Yeah.
"Oh,
Exactly.
we've defeated the threat of
Exactly.
the Skrulls, but now we got this new problem
You know
politically."
who's a
Exactly.
scroll? You know who's a scroll?
Even if the scrolls have been, even if the scrolls have been on Earth for 30 years, right? There's no way
Yeah.
that they could have the system, the ways, even with their shapeshifting, to be able to infiltrate all those places and get access to that. So maybe they're working with the Serpent Society on that, and then it feeds even more into the aspect of the Thunderbolts, because the reason for the Thunderbolts
Yep.
usually is that the Avengers are fucking up, right? So if the Avengers not only botch everything to do with Thanos and the Blip, making half of humanity disappear, and there is scroll
But
after
bringing
scroll.
them back. They also
Yeah,
brought
but they
them
still
back.
people still like they still messed up.
They did bring
Like,
them
people-
back. They did bring them back.
People only
but they
forget
still
when you mess
fucked up.
up,
The
or
people
only
remember-
forget when you do something
Exactly.
good. They always remember when you mess up.
I would have
So
stopped it.
feeding into that fear, right?
Uh-huh.
The Thunderbolts step in, and what would be an ideal first mission for them to do? Possibly hunting down whatever remaining scrolls
Adamantium.
are
Yep.
left from this invasion.
Yes.
It all has a nice little line to where you could trickle this out through multiple movies. That's my theory. The scrolls catch a W and they just fuck shit up for a good chunk
Graham
of this
would have
trilogy.
been
And then you
cooking on
go
that
from this
part right
grounded,
there.
you get to like you go from like this semi-grounded aspect, even though it's an alien invasion, it still has that espionage tone, right? So you go from this ground level thing, taking us away from all the multiversal shit, and then since it still has that cosmic aspect, you can build and build and layer on it, and then go back into the multiverse stuff. Then it doesn't feel like you're snapping someone's neck at 50 miles an hour.
The
That's my
question is
theory.
who owns. Is it Thaddeus Ross's Thunderbolts in Brave New
Yeah,
World?
that's what I want to know.
Norman's
Is,
not
Yeah.
here yet, and we know it's
Mhm.
Norman's in the
Mhm.
comics. He
It
ain't
is.
got the
It's gotta
drip
be.
wave
It's gotta
yet.
be.
He ain't got the wave yet, so it's like
yeah, they got that
it's
boy on
not Black
swing.
Norman, so it's got to be
I think
Thaddeus.
It's gotta be
it's
Thaddeus.
I think it's got to be him because he's the one who mainly proposed the proponent of the Sokovia Accords and wants Avengers to be held
Yeah,
accountable.
that's
And if
what I'm
he views
saying.
them
And his
entirely as
name is
opposite-
Thunderbolt
as a
Ross.
opposite, he'd make his
So
own.
yeah, is
Also,
it
yeah,
a
his
hey?
brand.
Yeah, you got everybody back, but you still screwed up.
Yeah.
So here's what I have in mind: is I'm gonna make
Yeah,
my
he
own
realizes the Avengers can
team-
be ineffective. Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is
So, so we're gonna go
ahead.
get some adamantium.
Yes. Or we're gonna try to. Well, before we get adamantium, let's try to steal some more vibranium. That's what
Exactly.
Let's just steal more black people's resources. That's
There
what
you
the
go.
Thunderbolts
Yeah.
gonna
They're like,
end
it's
up
a
doing.
tried and true method.
America.
Let's just keep at it. Let's just keep at
And it's gonna
Hasn't
be
failed
one
us
of those
before.
things in the movie
That's
where
why they're
everyone's
lucky.
gonna be like, everyone's
They're
gonna be
lucky.
like, didn't we do this? And they're gonna turn and look at the camera and be like, yes, we've done this already.
It's gonna be like the
over
office.
and
It's gonna be like Abbott
over and
Elementary.
over again.
The cameras.
It's
The
gonna be a
cameras
fourth
gonna
wall
like.
break.
Yeah. Just to kind of add on AZ's point, just before we wrap up really quick, was I really like. I was like, you know what would be really cool and brave if they and ballsy if they did.
God.
It was if they ended on a very like on a downer, right?
Yeah, like
Where
Infinity
he's
War.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah.
all hope is lost. We don't know what's going on. Nick Fury
We need
failed.
And we desire
He's
that.
lost everything, and he doesn't know where to go. I think that would be a much more powerful ending, and I think that would be that would help his character development a lot more. So when we do see him in the future, it's kind of he's guilt ridden on top of
Mhm.
feeling like he's not good enough. And I just think that would be a nice little cap to this story, a story that's a lot darker, a story that's a lot more real, a lot more grounded. I think if it ends kind of on a downer, it would be really
Or
really cool.
it's basically like it turns him into like almost like Winter Soldier level Nick Fury.
yeah.
Where it's like
Mhm.
then he's just like, I don't answer to nobody. I'm gonna go out and do whatever I want. Because it flips him from like, oh, I was too passive, so I need to go full on the other way.
Yeah.
To
Yeah,
which
the
then,
reason I'm
like,
here is because of the relationships I form with people and
Exactly.
being
So
empathetic, and
then-
I need to cut that out of my life.
I think in like Brave New World and everything, Sam, Rhodey, if he's real, are gonna have to be like, yo,
If
you
he's
need to
real.
like, you need to reel that in, bro. Like you
Oh,
tripping.
I was gonna say,
like,
you know who I think is a scroll? Sharon Carter from
Yes.
Falcon and
Graham,
Winter Soldier.
Graham specifically said that too. He said Power Broker. Who else did he
Oh,
say?
he did say
Yeah,
Power Broker.
yeah.
So
Yeah. There's
I
a
think
lot
that's
of good
also-
positions that we've
Yup.
seen in the last like year in the series that are primed to be
Namor.
like Skrulls.
Nah, Namor's actually
Namor's not a
Namor.
Skrull.
That's
Namor's
it.
actually
Recast.
Namor.
They're gonna
That boy
recast
too.
Diego Luna as Namor.
And they're gonna
Hey.
be like, it's the same, right? And everyone's gonna be like, oh no.
There's been worse ideas.
Breaking news.
Yeah, Diego Luna has been cast as the new Namor.
I'd take it.
Sources say
Antonio
Kevin Feige
Banderas
said
is
they're the
Namor.
same, right?
Yeah.
Kevin
People won't tell
Feige
the
out as
difference. They both got
Kevin
accents.
Feige out as Disney as Marvel.
Within
Marvel
a
head.
minute of him
No,
saying that.
Kevin Feige promoted to CEO of Walt Disney Corporation for fantastic diversity initiatives.
Saying that like it's Greg Abbott is in charge of Disney.
Fuck that cripple. Fuck Greg Abbott, you piece of dog shit. Fuck you, you Hot Wheels ass bitch. I think that's a good ending. That's a good place to wrap.
We should just had
us
it. We should just had it cut right there, not even do the normal
I'll have it
outro
cut. I'll
at
have
the
it
end.
I'll let it out.
Oh man!
What about Charm?
That's a wrap.
Who do you trust with Secret Invasion? But we thank y'all for trusting us to bring you incredible takes and just witty banter. This is probably our second longest episode now. 2 hours of just talking. Man, there was a lot to cover though. It's fair. It's warranted. But as for today's episode, that's a wrap. We appreciate y'all watching or listening to our channel. Be sure to follow us on all platforms at Cinestro Core to stay tuned on everything coming up this year. Go ahead and super scroll, smash that MF like button. Show us how much you enjoyed this episode by leaving us a 5-star review wherever you listen to this podcast. Send our podcast and YouTube channel to your friends, enemies, scrolls, family, new scrollos, coworkers. Post it in your group chat. Send it everywhere. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next time on the Cinestro Core. What's up?
Make sure you go watch Extraction 2. That's all.
No, it sucks. Don't watch it. Don't waste your fucking time. Don't waste your time.
Right there. No,
we will cover Extraction 2 on the next episode because I have words.
No, I'm gonna be sick.
I
have
love that
words.
movie. Did you
I
really
just
not
watched
like
the
it?
first one. I have words for the second one. I haven't seen all. I just started the second one, so I can't say anything yet. But by the time this episode airs, I'll have seen the second one. So
All right, we'll talk about it next time.
we'll discuss it on the next episode of the Cinestro Core. Peace.
Peace.
Watch out for them scrolls. Keep your eyes open. Keep your third eye open.